Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi out here. It's Monday morning, and we're reacting to the Raptors' loss to the Los Angeles Lakers at Crypto Arena last night. And we're also doing a little bit of a preview for Raptors 905 at College Park Skyhawks today. G League action, the second game of the season. For this cup season of the G League. So yeah, there's a game today. We can watch Oroshamshe and the Raptors 905 play against Atlanta Hawks G League team today. So y'all get ready for that. Let's check it out, y'all. Let's see what's going on. Last night, as Darko put it in the post-game interview, was a tale of two halves. You know, the first time we played the Lakers in Toronto this season, there was very much the Lakers blowing us out in the beginning of the game, and then in the second half of the game, we clawed and got back and made it a smaller margin by the end of the game. That was very admirable. In some ways, the Lakers showed excellence and poise in the first half, and the Raptors didn't get down, and they came back and beat them. Well, this game last night was, in a way, the inverse of that. The Raptors showed real strong play from the start of the game and won the first half. In fact, we're winning the game until about halfway through the third quarter, and then things changed, and the Lakers took over, and they blew us out for the rest of the game. You know, the NBA is a weird, interesting place that every game has got a kind of different feel, and that's why you want your team to be versatile and experienced and understanding that each game may take something different to win. And, well, this situation in some ways was, there were a couple factors that led to what happened in the game last night and the Raptors losing by 20. So we'll go over it today. We'll get more education out there because, once again, there's a lot of stupid people espousing on things about the Raptors and the way how much they're winning right now. And they're just not that educated or informed or understanding what the hell is going on right now. Some people are still stuck in 2019 championship mentality of winning, and you need to let that go. Seriously. In some ways, y'all are causing more interference and problems in your comments in the comments section, whining and complaining that the Raptors haven't won that much yet this year. Some people are wondering why the hell have the Raptors not won a road game this season? Well, have you seen our fucking schedule, you idiot? In some ways, the Raptors could have been probably predicted that they'd be the last team to win a road game this season because of the schedule they started with this year. I mean, honestly, we may not win a road game for a while, and they will continue this stupid storyline. The Raptors have not won a road game. The Raptors have not won a road game, partly just because the NBA stacked the deck against us. We should have won that game in Charlotte. That would have put this all away, but we didn't. We did not take care of business when we went to Charlotte and played the Hornets that one day. That was the easy pickings one to make sure we did get a win on the road. So it's going to just be a little while. In some ways, it's not a big deal. If this is like our Atlantic Division woes last year, so be it. You can blame the NBA schedule makers in some ways for that because we should have had more easier games interspersed at the beginning of the season and not all at the end of the season like our schedule is this year. So casuals, go ahead and be all upset about losing. Go ahead and be all upset about our record. Go ahead and be all upset about the fact that we have not won on the road yet, and you're embarrassed. Well, that's yourself. You just need to understand what the game plan is here right now. And it's not about totally winning at all costs and just trying to win. We are just trying to grow these young players and get better as together as a unit. And there's all kinds of success and winning in the things that we're doing, and it will eventually lead to winning overall. So, yeah, just chill out. You guys have a certain standard for things. Some Raptors fans, y'all are Johnny-come-latelys. Were you around in 1996? No, you weren't. Were you around in 2008? No, you weren't. You came and started rooting for this team in the last 6 years because you saw they were getting close to a championship, or you saw them win a championship, and all of a sudden you started watching them then. That's what I have to say to a lot of the recent fans that are unrealistic and stupid when it comes to, oh, I demand this team wins. I demand this team wins. Why is this team not winning? I demand this team wins. You motherfucker, you are not king of the world. So just let the team be and let them become who they're going to be also, because you won't let them become what they're going to be if we use your strategies of throwing the personnel and players out in the trash like every week we do. Oh, we got to put the trash out. Yeah, let's just put these guys. Okay, they made some progress though. We got to start all over again. When you discard people and start over again. Some people just aren't wise when it comes to rebuilding in the NBA, and that's why these people's opinions shouldn't matter, and we should ignore them. But unfortunately, with losing and getting else, these people feel like they have to chime in with their opinions and say this and that, where they're absolutely misinformed, is what I'll say right now. I have to give a lot of credit to people like Leo Routens and Jack Armstrong for educating these people, but they ain't listening. They ain't listening to them about what's going on right now. And, standing up for either Jakob, standing up for Darko. Leo said in the pregame show last night that Darko's doing an amazing job. He has got this team running really hard and playing their hearts out, and it's just not adding up to winning yet. But it will at some point. But will it add up to winning in time before these idiots that are calling for Darko to lose his job? They don't get a say. And in some ways, Masai and Bobby are watching this, and they can see from the inside. They can see the vibes. They can see the progress with the players. You can't see the progress with the players, Darko haters, you dumbasses. You can't see Abaji, what he's doing right now. You think that this is just something that just grows on a tree like a fruit? No, you got to develop this stuff. And Darko is a big part of that. And you just don't understand, some of y'all. Y'all have a keyboard and y'all think you have a brain, but you don't. So just stop putting your stuff out there, all your bullshit, is what I have to say, especially after a game last night. Once again, I mean, Darko said in the press conference after the game, they asked him what happened in the game last night. Well, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but he may be the best player that ever played in the game of sport, the basketball, but his name is LeBron James. Yeah, that's what happened. In some ways, the Raptors were not getting a break when Anthony Davis got put out by accident in a very, that play was crazy. Jakob wanted to take that ball to the hoop and dunk it. And Davis was there to block it, and he did block it clean. But Jakob put his hand up, and he hit him in the face, scratched his eye, and Davis had to leave. In some ways, we had a winning formula with Davis in the game, as crazy as that sounds, because once Davis left, LeBron James activated from glue guy to go-to guy. And that is a big problem because LeBron, it's better when you don't wake the sleeping giant. In some ways, you just go ahead and let that giant sleep. Just ask Jack, who went up the beanstalk. Let that giant sleep. But no, we had to take out his one-eyed ogre in his eye, or his one-browed ogre, and put him out, and the giant woke up. And then he started chasing Jack around in his house because he fee-fi-fo-fummed. I smell the blood of an Austrian man that just scratched my center in the face. That's the thing. LeBron is a triple-double machine. He just got triple doubles in 2 games in a row, and he is dissecting the game. It's like 2 different ends of the spectrum. You guys got to understand, this man is like the PhD genius emeritus, got a tenure professor of basketball. This dude has been doing this for so long. As Darko said, he's a genius, and he knows everything. If you make the littlest mistake, he's going to make you pay. We saw LeBron do some amazing passes last night. We saw LeBron kind of look like LeBron 10 years ago all of a sudden last night. Like, the man is Ponce de Leon. He's got the fountain of youth, and he ain't slowing down. And you know what? The way he dissected us in the second half and helped his team, buoyed his team by bringing the play up of the rest of the players on the team, like Austin Reeves, that's how they won. In some ways, it's like, hey, that's a testament. That's LeBron. And LeBron, if he has to be the man because Anthony's not there, and, that's the thing. They've been using Anthony as the man, but he goes out, LeBron becomes the man. And that's a whole other different kind of package of if he's motivated and he's trying to do stuff, boom. And then when they bust the game wide open, they're having fun and they're just doing things and they're coasting along and they win by 20. And that's just how it goes. Coincide that with the Raptors absolutely running out of gas for the first time this season, really. Raptors have had a good energy effort for most of this whole entire season so far. And that is a testament, considering the losing they've been going through. Most teams, when they lose so much, they don't have the gumption to get up and go out and get in the games and go after it as tough when they know we're kind of apathetic about things. Well, this is what happened. They had a back-to-back. They played their asses off against the Clippers on Saturday. And well, around the third quarter, they did run out of gas. Very, very much so. The Raptors ran out of gas. And as Darko says, they subverted to hero ball, where hero ball is not a good thing. People talk about hero ball, and I think about Javon Freeman Liberty. And there was hero ball in the 905 game the other night with Kennedy Chandler trying to do too much at times on that team. Well, unfortunately, there was some hero ball played in the second half by the Raptors last night, and it was specifically our former New York Knicks that were trying to do too much with hero ball, got away from the passing schemes, and fell into old bad habits of trying to force things in isolation by themselves against the whole rest of the Lakers team. So, there's a couple of different factors that led to a 20-point rout of the Raptors in LA last night. Then those are the ones right there. I just told you. LeBron James, well, he's LeBron James. And the Raptors, at some points, gas tank was going to run out of gas. And that's a testament to them. Look, they've been going so hard with their energy and going all out, and they have not let up until last night. And it was, it's natural. Your body's going to run out of energy. You play a video game, you play on simulation, your players are going to get tired after a certain time of you running them around on turbo button the whole time. So this was a natural thing. In some ways also, this is a week after the time change, and this has been a very, very exhausting week of a West Coast road trip. You think it's been exhausting for us to stay up until 1 a.m. every night watching the Raptors play basketball the last few nights. Yeah, it's been exhausting for them too, because they've traveled and had to stay up and do all this kind of stuff and adjust their bodies. And also the fishiness, once again, the NBA and the schedule makers definitely utilize daylight savings time changes to fuck with the natural biological clock and of the Toronto Raptors team. Because if you think about it, fall back means that it's even later. The games that started at 10:30, well, old time it was 11:30, guys. It's 11:30 because of the time change from last weekend. So in some ways, these guys were playing like 4 or 5 hours later than the normal time they would play here in Toronto on East Coast time, 7 o'clock, 7:30 here. So I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to tell y'all all the factors that are involved in what is going on with them. And LeBron James is not an excuse. LeBron James is a player that will destroy your team if he's in the right mood and the right energy mindset. He will destroy your team. Oh, I know. Being a fan of this team, I know. Yeah. All right. Let's see what y'all are saying in the comments. We'll do our stars of the game. We'll do a ref report. Actually, let's do that real quick before we even get started. Here are the ref crew for today's game against the College Park Skyhawks. It's the Atlanta Hawks G League team. We are on the road in Atlanta in College Park to play them today. And the referees are Charles Watson, number 60, is the crew chief. Gerda Gatlin, number 24, is the referee, and Castine Evans, number 11, is the umpire. I have no information on them, like their likes and dislikes. They're G League, and they don't have profiles yet, but at least we know their names. And maybe we'll pay attention to those names and be like, oh, yeah, Castine. Castine's great. I like Castine. Yeah, you guys like Simone. Simone was pretty good last night. The refs, some people may want to blame the refs for stuff like that, but it was pretty down the middle, guys. Watching it closely last night, there was some stuff that was kind of but for the most part, we got a couple calls in our favor that we probably shouldn't have, and they got some calls in their favor that they probably shouldn't have. So it all kind of evens out in the end. The free throw discrepancy wasn't as crazy as the other game against the Lakers, which is a good sign. And it's really funny, Darko coming into the press room at the Crypto Arena and saying, I remember this room, and talking about, oh, yeah, I remember this room from last year. It's a complete crap. Yeah, he's a funny guy, man. Darko's a really funny guy. And, in some ways, I think him and the guys on the bench were very much vigilant to make sure there's not going to be any kind of repeat of the Raptors' visit to LA Lakers last year. As far as, we're going to tell y'all what's up. And Simone, Tony, John Butler, you guys better be doing this on the up and up, because Scotty Barnes, Bruce Brown, Garrett Temple, and Kelly Olynyk are adding their voices to staying on top of y'all doing it right. In fact, I saw Kelly getting really onto the refs at one point about a call that should have maybe been a travel on Anthony Davis. Yeah, very interesting game last night. In some ways, I don't hate it. In some ways, once again, everybody who's getting bent out of shape and upset about the Raptors winning or losing right now needs to shut the fuck up, man. Because if the Raptors freak and a lot of the Raptor freaks are not that upset about losing this year, then you shouldn't either. In some ways, y'all have not gotten the memo on what is going on right now. You really haven't. And in some ways, if you're so bent out of shape and upset that you're so butthurt that you got to write all over social media that your life is ruined because the Raptors can't win right now, you're pathetic and you're a loser and you need to get over yourself. Maybe go get a hobby or just, go pick up a basketball yourself and go down there and see how hard it is, you dumbasses. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say to that, because honestly, it's so crazy, the opinions. And sometimes these are the same damn people that say we shouldn't be winning because I want a tank to get a high draft pick. Well, pick which one it is, you losers. Seriously, if you just can't be happy no matter what's going on, well, that's your own damn fault, is what I'm saying right now. All right, Monique's first in. Let's see. Good morning, Raptor Freak family crew. Fourth quarter woes. That's right. Very stagnant in the fourth. O'Shea and Chris continued their great plays. AD out. LeBron take off. I'm kind of worried about Laker Nation getting crazy and really hating Jakob Poeltl at this point. That hit was a little dirty. I'll admit it. Like his hand being on his face isn't a good look exactly because, but I get it too, because he's trying to brace himself for him coming at him with the energy also. It's just unfortunate. Now, this is a scary thing for the Lakers because honestly, Anthony Davis is like a key to them winning. And he did have a cornea scratch last year. And this is very reminiscent of this. So in some ways, him being out, Laker Nation's probably going crazy right now against our Austrian guy on social media places. I don't need to go look. I can understand it's probably out there. Really toxic Laker fans are probably going off and saying that Jakob is one of the dirtiest players in the league. This is the crazy thing. We lamented in recent weeks, where's the Raptors enforcer? We need somebody to come and give receipts? Well, this isn't exactly that, but this is a testament to what I was trying to tell y'all, that Jakob is an extremely strong person and he can hurt people out there if he wants to. But I don't think this is what he wanted to do, obviously, in this case. I don't think he wanted to hurt him. There was no malice and there's no justification for him wanting to hurt him. But that's what I'm saying. In some ways, he also hit LeBron later on in the head. And I was like, oh, crap, they're going to really hate him after that, because it seems like he's taken two dirty shots at Lakers' heads, the two most important Lakers. Either way, Jakob is not that kind of person. And anybody who's trying to say that Jakob Poeltl is a dirty player, well, that's inadvertent contact. And if you just understand his personality, this is just not in his DNA. In some ways, I wish it was to an extent, but it really isn't. It really, really isn't. Do we have just like it's not an enforcer, but just a force of nature that can be a problem with physicality hurting people? I mean, which one do you think is more dirty, the Jakob or the Jokic to Scotty thing? Because there's similar things where people are getting hit in the eye and they're getting injured because of it. In some ways, Joker had his back turned and he kind of just hit back and hit Scotty. And then this one, it was more on the face, like coming at him, but he's kind of like trying to come at, like sometimes you can put your hand up to try and, I don't know, get yourself some position to get the dunk through. But man, it was an excellent block. I got to give a lot of credit to Davis on that. It was a clean block. And yeah, he definitely, Jakob, in some ways, it was an offensive foul. I'm not going to lie. And I don't remember how they called it exactly. But either way, yeah, I'm sure that our guy Poeltl has drawn the ire of Laker Nation right now. But you know what? That may not be anything new to him. Playing for the Spurs for a few years with Coach Popovich, the rivalry between the Spurs and the Lakers, I'm sure that he's, hit some people around in the past, and they may have already had some animosity towards him. Yak lives in his own bubble. He doesn't care. He's not going to get on social media and hear the Lakers Nation say that crap. And even if he heard it in person, he'd just laugh and be like, ha, 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 I make millions of dollars and I'm in the NBA, okay? Yeah, he'd probably say something like that. So crazy, yeah. Most saying happy game day 905. Monique is excited for Drew Jones. She really, really is happy about the coaching change this year for the 905. And in some ways, she's anticipating and excited to see more 905 play as far as playing the College Park Skyhawks tonight. This can be awesome. I'm all about it too. I don't remember exactly what the time is. I think it's normal time, around 7 o'clock is when the game will be on tonight. Of course, today is Veterans Day in the United States and also Remembrance Day here in Canada. And if I remember, I'm going to try and do a moment of silence at 11:11 on the stream. So I don't know if you guys can be on top of me for that. It may be that I'm in a weird place in the comments and not totally there yet. Most saying also, can everyone shut up about the T word? I hate it. I hate it. Yeah. But I mean, Monique, in some ways, we have to allow it because of the win loss percentage for the Raptors right now. In some ways, people on Twitter putting the tanks up in the Raptors fans putting the tanks up in their pictures and saying we're stealth tank commanders, and we see Aaron Baines and stupid stuff like that. Right now I'll allow it. Most of the time I don't like this kind of stuff, but right now, in some ways, if they want to have that fun with that, it is kind of on the down low what we're doing. I mean, in the projected things for the draft, think about this: we got the draft pick out of the way to the Spurs, and they ended up getting Stephon Cass or Rob Dillingham, and they traded him. Castle they drafted earlier, and we don't owe the pick to the Spurs. And they're projecting us right now with our record. We're like number 2 worst team in the league, and that means we're going to get somebody like Ace Bailey. So in some ways, I'm not on Team Tank, and I hate that word. I do. I hate that word just as much as you do. But I'm also for the Raptors being successful and having the best things coming to them in the future. And well, in some cases, that is the strategy right now that, makes a lot of sense. In some ways, we can blame the schedule for being one of the toughest schedules in the whole entire league, and we're rebuilding, and we really are a young team that does not know how to close out games to win against veteran NBA teams. And it's just naturally what's happening. But it is a nice side benefit if we do get to the end of the year and we're in the high lottery in the top 4 picks, you have one of the top players coming out in this draft. Once again, this draft is better than last year's draft. This draft has got some guys at the top of it that are not going to be like Sar and Rissacker, guys that will actually be like top-notch NBA players that are worth the premium of being at the top of the draft. So I hate that word too. I hate that mentality. In fact, I hate losing, just like the people that are complaining about us losing so much. But I also understand what I can and cannot control. And right now, the Raptors cannot totally control the end of games to try and win them and close them out. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. Things will get better. That's exactly right, Mo. That's exactly right. Things are going to get better when Scotty comes back. Things are going to get better when our guys just continue to progress and learn. That's what it is right there. Nako's here. Good to see Nako the Nacho, my good buddy. I don't think RJ deserves the scrutiny of a first option, but I didn't love what I saw from him. Oshai might actually be the most consistent player this season. Well, we have to say this, Gerald. In some ways, they're totally different kinds of players. And, it's not about choosing who's going to be number 1 or not. In some ways, it's the skill set. In some ways, it's the way they can go about scoring. And RJ is a much better creator for himself than Oshai is. Oshai scores a lot of his baskets off of corner threes because everybody misdirected the defense away from him, and he pops the three. In fact, that was his move last night that was so awesome. But that is completely dependent on his teammates for him to get the basket. The other way that Oshai scores is in transition. He's been amazing. Part of the reason why he has such a high field goal percentage this season is because he's getting a lot of his high field goal percentage shots as layups and attacking the rim. And we even saw him last night take on a 4-on-1, 4 against him, he being the one, and he beat the Lakers to the hoop and laid it up. He's fantastic for this. In fact, this is the reason why he was a college national player of the year and a champion with Kansas Jayhawks, is because he knew how to take it to the hoop. And that's what he's doing right now. The more open transition game with him, he's flourished because of it, because he knows he can press and push. And if he gets to the rim, it's going to go in because he's a master at finishing around the rim. Once again, that is conducive on whether we get transition opportunities. If the other team is playing a really tight game and we're not able to get out and run, well, in some ways, that hurts Oshai from being that kind of player. So RJ's essential because he can actually, in a half-court set, hurry up, change speed, do different kinds of things, and get buckets for us much easier than Oshai. So it's a different kind of build of player, and you got to look at the way they get their points. Oshai's very dependent on other players, and RJ can create for himself, and that's the difference right there. That's the difference right there. Yeah, I don't know if the scrutiny of him, this is what I'll say, and I said it earlier, there may have been too much IQ and RJ trying to do too much by themselves at certain times and getting trapped on the court by a double team by the Lakers or something, and then getting in trouble and not knowing where to throw it to. They said things in the broadcast in the second half last night about our offense stagnating again, and that's something we hadn't heard this year very much until now. Of course, we heard it a lot in a couple of years past where the offense just can't score a bucket at all. And we did get into those kind of moments, but really part of the reason why that happened is because we went away from our fantastic ball movement and cutting and moving around. Some of the symptoms of that could be that they were fatigued. In some ways, it's really hard to move off the ball when you're dog tired and you just ran out of gas. And the team as a whole collectively hit their energy wall last night. I really saw that at a certain point, and Chris said it in the post-game interview. We just got tired, and it's just something that an NBA team will go through, the natural biorhythm of having energy, not having energy, because it's just the lifestyle. And in some point, we just kind of hit the wall with our crazy, relentless kind of point of attack energy that's exemplified by Jamal Shed and Davion Mitchell going crazy on the outside. We just didn't have it. We ran out of gas. We ran out of gas. Those were Chris's words. Exactly. We ran out of gas in the third quarter, and our team just hit a back-to-back fatigue wall that is common in this league. Let's just put it that way. It's common. It's a common thing that happens. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going in the chat. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Monique is saying this in her next comment. It jumped. I'll make sure I get to the right place. IQ slowly getting his conditioning back up, only second game back, not worried, patience, and getting healthy. Yeah. IQ was fine. All right, let's go look at I'll give you guys my three stars of the game. We lost, so I only give 3 stars. My number 1 star of the game last night was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher has been on a tear on this West Coast trip. He's been one of the top stars. And 4 out of the last 5 games, guys, going all the way back to the Sacramento game that we won last Saturday for the Vince Carter retirement game. Chris off the bench, 6 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 4 of 5 at the free throw line, which is fantastic. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 18 points in 20 minutes. Great points per minute production. Once again, as Jakob said in the post-game interview, Chris just is a steady influence of energy and infusion, and he's a nuisance to the other team with the way he rebounds and sneaks in there and gets the ball. And also, Chris is shooting with a certain confidence with his three-point shot that he's never had in his whole entire NBA career. In some ways, we could look at the odyssey of Chris Boucher as when he appeared on our team the championship year to where he is now. And his three-point shooting is on a whole different kind of weird level at this point, which is awesome. In some ways, he's saying he's giving credit to his teammates setting him up the correct way, and it's giving him confidence to hit the shots. So, yeah, Chris, you're awesome from 3, and I love how confident you are. I love how you're fighting. I love how you're doing. You never give up on plays. You're getting in there. You're playing really tough, like help defense. Also, Jakob pointed that out in his interview last night after the game. So, yeah, Chris, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep going. You're a great example for the young Raptors. And, yeah, there is a lot of learning this year, and there's a lot of teaching. And Chris is teaching them how to be a pro and to continue to have a long NBA career. Some people on Twitter are saying that they want Chris Boucher to be a Raptor for life. I agree with them. In fact, I told him personally on his Twitch once. I said, Chris, I want you to be like our Udonis Haslem. I want you to just be around for a long, long time and just hang out and be on the Raptors. That'd be cool. I think he liked what I said. They also showed that clip before the game, Chris Boucher looking at his 2K ratings and being disgusted with his passing ability and then like even his speed. It was all real low and awful. And in fact, he brought up a story, and this is something I remember because I was on the Twitch at this time too. The last time I saw Chris play 2K, this is what happened. He's playing 2K and he's his own character, and he's trying to run up the floor to a fast break, and his character is so slow. And it's like, this is not real life, because we've seen how quickly Chris can get up the court and how agile he is as far as running up the court. and he was mad. I remember this moment because I was watching him. He like basically threw the controller down and said, "2K, you're broken, and I'm never playing it again." This was like 2 years ago. This wasn't even recently, because they I don't know, they don't give us respect in general. And Chris is not a starter or a mate marquee star. They're gonna give him such Seward ratings, and his player is not what he should be in that game. And I mean, I remember that moment. He's like, I'm not going to play 2K anymore because it's all busted up. And he's calling out Rodney in that clip. It's hilarious. My second star of the game last night was Pirtle. Pirtle had a bounce back game. He had a bad game against the Clippers, really, really bad game. And last night he showed a lot of efficiency, if not some loose hands going around everywhere. 14 points for Pirtle on 7 of 12 shooting. At certain points, he was really aggressive with his shot, and he was very money. And that was really good. In some ways, he was having a hard time in the first half because Davis was out there blocking and being in the way, but he was still finding ways to score around him. And that's not easy, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, Zubac gave him trouble on Saturday night. Davis could have give him more trouble too, but they were doing a lot of misdirections and fakes. He was kidding around him and laying it up, and even Jakob had a couple of push shots away from the basket that were money too. So I really like what he did. A double-double for a big Yak, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover. He did have 4 offensive rebounds and a 7 of 12 shooting. That's just a solid line. He could have scored more. I would have liked to see him get more in there, but yeah, what a weird game for Pirtle. It wasn't a bad game though. It was efficient. The third star for me is Ochai Agbaji. Agbaji was very efficient also. 5 of 7 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. Those corner threes right now. I mean, they said he's 70% from one of the corners. That is badass. So he's definitely somebody we need to find often and as much as possible. Because man, 4 of 5 from 3 and 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 16 points in 33 minutes. And not only that, Ochai is trying to guard LeBron. We saw that one moment where Grady got switched to LeBron, and LeBron just licked his chops like he was about to eat a big T-bone steak. And well, they made sure they got a switch and keep Agbaji on him, because Agbaji could at least try to slow him down with some physicality to a certain extent and keep him in check as best as he could. Yeah, that was really funny when Grady tried to dunk on LeBron. He almost got away with that. That would have been such a moment if Grady had cleanly gotten that dunk when he went at LeBron early in the game. That was awesome. So there's my 3 stars of the game: Chris Boucher, Jakob Poeltl, and Ochai Agbaji. Those are my 3 stars. Yeah, let's see what else y'all are staying in the chat. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, Monique's saying Lakers fans hate Yak now. Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, I could have called that. And somebody, he don't care. He don't care. Yeah, you know what? They may have wanted him at some point. I mean, there's so many players that have been in the Lakers trade news. Oh, we want this person. We want this person. We want this person. I know that they've lusted after getting Yak on their team also. I know they have. I've heard it. But yeah, maybe not anymore because of this. Yeah, maybe not anymore because of this. Hey, they're going to be toxic and they're going to be crazy either way. But yeah, Pirtle put a big target on himself for, putting AD out like that. And, they're going to talk about this probably all year, especially if AD is out for a good little bit of amount of time, because he really is the catalyst for them to win right now. Although last night he wasn't. It's crazy how they were way better without him in the game last night. After he left, that's the other thing that happens with teams in NBA games. They rally because they see shit like that. They're like, oh man, look at that. AD's out. You know what? We got next man up mentality. We gotta rally to do it for AD because of this. In some ways, that's part of how you wake the sleeping giant. Is all of a sudden you riled them up because of an injury, and they're like, oh, now we got to play even harder. And then boom, all of a sudden the Lakers are trying, and they're not being so lazy like they were in the first half, because they were very lazy in the first half, and we were running them off the court. And that was part of the reason why we're kicking their ass so good in the first half of the game. Now you kind of give them a rouse up. It's kind of like when the coach gets tossed. Coach Darko got thrown out, and the Raptors all of a sudden are playing their asses off to do it for him. Well, there was a little bit of that last night also because Davis exited the game. A little bit of that last night too. Yeah, most saying 5 players in double digits. I love that. Yeah, that's some balanced scoring last night in some ways. Nobody really having a big, huge game. Nobody scored 20 points. which is crazy. Well, let's go over the rest of the box score with the Raptors since you brought it up, Monique. Emmanuel quickly had a tough game last night. 4 of 15 from the field, 1 of 4 from three. He made all three of his free throws, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 turnover, a minus 21 in 12 minutes. That's a problem right there. I mean, he only had minus 21 with 12 points in 27 minutes. Yeah, just 12 points off. And a lot of the shots weren't going in. He's taking outside shots. He's taking little floaters, and just stuff just wasn't dropping for him. It is true. He's got to find his rhythm from coming back from the injury and get more ensconced in the team rotation and what we're doing. Because he's, it's you add these ingredients back in from coming back, like Scotty will come back eventually, and there's a little bit of a shakiness at first because this person's back, and there's a little bit of pushing different things around, like who gets the shot attempts and who's playing the minutes and things like that. So Emmanuel, little rough last night, along with RJ. I mean, the two of them were 9 of 30 together. RJ 5 of 15, 1 of 7 from three. So both of them 2 of 11 from three. 7 of 9 from the free throw line for RJ, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, minus 24 for RJ, 18 points in 36 minutes. RJ is great. He's going to be a bucket for us, but if we overuse him, there can be a problem. That's why in some ways, with Scotty and Grady hitting shots more and Emmanuel kind of being more accurate with his shots, it'll take the burden off of the broad shoulders, the strong shoulders of RJ Barrett to have to carry so much and be so high usage. Because in some ways, it's better to get lower usage of RJ, but at a high efficiency in some ways. But with the personnel that's available because of injuries, that may be that he has to carry more and be that guy. And well, this is what it is. This is the hero ball that Darko does not condone, and he in some ways was unhappy about in the second half. So it could very well be that they're talking about this in the team meetings and the videos with these guys, as far as like, yeah, we need to look for the opportunities to move the ball around, even if the Lakers are going crazy with their defense and amping it up with their energy all of a sudden. Grady Dick, 5 of 10 from the field. He was pretty good actually last night. 2 of 3 from three, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 14 points in 33 minutes. In some ways, it's just volume for him. In the first half, we're talking about Grady has taken a lot of shots. In fact, he took 7 of his 10 shots, I think, in the first quarter and a half. And well, Grady just didn't get as many shot opportunities. Was it because the Lakers were really covering him very strongly? That could have been it right there. I think that probably was it, that they were really shadowing him really, really strongly. So it was really hard for us to get shot attempts for him. A lot of people can criticize the things that go on the basketball court because of what they think is happening. But there's a lot more going on out there that a lot of the casual fans don't see. And it's real easy to just second guess Darko and decisions and things like that. If you haven't been in those situations or seen them yourself, you have no idea how difficult it is. So whether it's the decisions with what happened at the end of the game in the Clippers game, whether it's whatever, like as far as like personnel and what they do, if there's failure on the court, y'all are trying to blame the coach. Well, in some ways, it's not necessarily the coach's fault. Some ways it's just natural ball bouncing. You're going to miss that one because there's a probability of winning and losing. There's a probability of making the shot and not making the shot. And in some ways, y'all are acting like you expect the players and the coach to just be absolutely perfect all the time. And that's the problem I have with some of the armchair quarterbacking that's going on around the Raptors fan nation right now. As far as y'all are being so like, oh, well, they've just done this and this. The motherfucker, you can say that so easy. But in real life, in the moment, and everything like that, that's why I'm not mad at what they did with Jakob. He had such a good shot, almost dropped into the shot and off the missed free throw. And if he makes that, boom, we're in overtime. RJ drops the shot against Sacramento, boom, we win that game. So these shots are going to fall at some point. In the laws of probability and outcomes, these shots are going to fall at a certain point, and we're going to get a W. So just chill, Raptors fans. Seriously, you're crazy. You're crazy. Bruno Fernando came in once again, building off of his pretty strong performance against the Clippers. 2 for 2 from the field, 10 minutes. Let's see, 4 points for him with 1 block. Yeah, he could have been out there maybe a little longer, But yeah, he was out there trying to muscle up with Anthony Davis. Once again, these big, huge centers. That's why Bruno's out there, because he's a load. And in some ways, he can push these guys around and hold them a little bit better than anybody else on the team other than Jakob Poeltl. So that's an important part of his role. And some of the teams we've been playing earlier in the season were not the best teams to play him against, and that's why you got DMPs. But when we do have to play a load like Zubac or Anthony Davis, he's very, very useful for us. Trust me. He's very, very useful. Jamison Battle came out for 13 minutes, didn't score. He took one single three-pointer. And this is actually another sign that the Lakers were really guarding our three-point specialists, Grady and Jamison. That, he only got to take one shot, 3 rebounds for a Jamison, 1 assist. Yeah, it's too bad. Mobo, only 8 minutes, 3 points for him, 1 of 2 and 1 of 1 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds. And, Jomo it's a learning curve. And in some ways, he's had really good early success. Now, Raptors fans, if he's not able to do exactly what he's done in the early season every single game, do you understand that it ebbs and flows the play of players, especially when they're rookies and they're still getting oriented? In fact, in some ways, he may have came in a burst of energy and had like a lot of good success just because he was so enthusiastic and it's all new. Well, like I said, you hit a rookie wall, you hit a little bit of an energy wall with the Raptors, and maybe some of that stuff isn't as successful or efficient all of a sudden. It's a game of runs, ups and downs. And in some ways, our players have biometrics to their bodies, and you're going to see ups and downs in that area also. Davion Mitchell, 19 minutes off the bench, 1 of 5 from the field, missed all 3 of his three-point attempts, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover. So 5 assists to 1 turnover. That's fantastic stuff there. 2 points. Yeah, we just need more production from somebody like Davion. In some ways, what I just said about Mobo and Shed, they're rookies. This is to be expected. They may not score as much, but Davion's been in this league for a couple years. And in some ways, he needs to make sure he hits his open threes. That's probably the biggest thing right now with Davion Mitchell that we absolutely need better from him is when they leave him absolutely open, he needs to nail that three. He just needs to. That's my biggest criticism with him. Jamal Shed, 9 minutes, 1 of 4, missed both his three-point attempts. 1 assist, 3 turnovers. So his assist to turnover ratio was not good. 1 assist to 3 turnovers, 2 points, but a +3. The only plus out of all the Raptors last night. So when he was on the court, we actually won by 3 points. So yeah, it's tough learning games for Shed and Mobo right now. And some of it has to do with Emmanuel coming back and taking that part of the rotation time away from Shed playing so heavy. It's weird. I'd asked Blake Murphy about whether Shed should play on 905, and now it's like he's getting kind of more relegated to less time. It's going to be so good for him to be on 905 when they come back from this West Coast road trip. And Shed should be running the 905 with DJ Carton. And it'll be really good for him. Trust me. It'll be just like Fred VanVleet all over again. Seriously. So yeah, looking at the rest of the box score, we may have had a lot of people in double digits, 6 players, but none of them over 20. And some of those bench players really struggled to get any points, namely our rookies. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at right there. Yeah. Most saying came out of the halftime firing threes. Amazing. There was a point in the game last night where I was like, wow, the Raptors are actually barraging the Lakers with threes, and we're the ones on the other side of this. Like, really quick three-pointers. Grady, I forget who is, RJ, Emmanuel. They all hit a 3 in a row, and all of a sudden we just added 9 points in a really short period of time from just boom, boom, boom. And then the Lakers are calling a timeout. That often happens to us. The other team will come and barrage us with 3 to 5 point three-pointers all of a sudden. And it was like, holy crap, they just jumped on a big lead. But we actually did that last night. So in some ways, there's a lot of signs, even if we're not winning, that our team is very different than past editions of the Raptors in recent years. We totally struggled to string together made threes. And, well, there was a period in time after the halftime where we barraged them with threes, and it was overwhelming enough that J.J. Redick had to call a timeout. That's fun to be on that side for once. Isn't that refreshing, Raptors fans? To be on that side of the three-point barrage instead of being the one taking it? That's pretty cool to me, actually. Stargate's here, man. Good to see Stargate, the man who escaped the machine. Ed Mo, I hate the T word, too. And it's annoying to hear these hockey centric sports reporters in this country making their ignorant non basketball knowing takes. Cringe worthy. Yeah, Nikki Reyes bugs me. She's a little jubilant in the studio in there, and like in some ways, you know what they did last night? They did this twice. It was Kia and Nikki both did this. They mistakenly Freudian slipped, winning. The Raptors have won 3 in a row. Wait, oh no, wait, they haven't won 3 in a row. Did you catch the ladies in the studio pregame show and halftime show said this? They both Freudian slipped. The Raptors are actually winning right now, but they're not. They have a losing record and they've lost 4 games in a row now. Why would they say that? Because maybe they are winning on the down low. Why would I feel like they're winning in some ways? They're winning the game of development. They're winning in the game of our rookie class from the second day of the draft, being advancing and being really worthwhile. That's weird. Why would both of them do the Freudian slip of saying, "Oh, they're winning by accident"? Maybe because it does feel like winning. Maybe because it is kind of that way. I thought that was so weird. It was very, very strange. Good to see you, Stargate, as always, when you're here in the chat. Smooth saying, remember at 11 a.m. to pause and reflect on the heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice for us to live in democracy. All those who continue to serve, don't forget them. Yes, I would love some help with this, and hopefully I can be near the end. I'll keep my eye on it. It's about just under an hour from now. And we should probably still be on the air when that moment comes around. So I will try and do this for today, 11/11, Remembrance Day here in Canada. Yeah, Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas. IQ is killing me. When he picks up his dribble, it kills the flow of the offense. I know it takes time to work him in, but Shed and Davion kept that ball humming at all times, finding cutters. This is probably what Darko is talking about in some ways, is that, IQ, he has a certain way of swagger and play that he likes to do things. And maybe some of this is also him trying to find his rhythm in the game to be more effective. But, you're right. In some ways, any comments about the offense stagnating in the second half last night were centered around quickly in him being the primary ball handler. Because in some ways, that hero ball comment by Darko after the game really was telling, saying that we went to hero ball, and I don't like that. I don't like hero ball either. Darko's concept is a team game that has them playing off each other. And these guys want to do too much themselves, try and break people down on the dribble and stuff like that. There's a time and a place for that. But it's not like just the default, come down the court and we're going to try and do this every time. And that may have been the problem right there. And like I said, specifically, Quickly and Barrett, they defaulted into these modes, and they have a tendency to do this at times. Scotty has a tendency to do this too, also. Be a little, it's not lazy, but just, it's not even selfish. It's just that they sometimes want to just try and do too much with dribble and beating people one-on-one when we should be trying to cultivate our shots off of the cuts and the passing. That's really the biggest thing right there. The cuts and the passing. Kaz is here. Good morning, Kaz. It is Monday. I don't know. Is it a holiday? It's a holiday. Is he on the road? Kaz is on the road right now. 10-4. 10-4, good buddy. Randolph's here. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. You have ability to use what? Let's see if it has another comment. I don't see what you have the ability to use what? I'm going to figure it out. Leo's saying this morning. He's saying, don't forget to smile today. How about that? That's right. And don't forget the coffee is what he's saying. Have an amazing week. Leo's so awesome. Last night they did the NBA 2K announcer ratings for the broadcast crew and TSN's broadcast crew. It's so ridiculous. They had like ratings for ethics. And Leo had a 0 ethics rating. And he started acting like he's getting on the phone to call his agent, call the HR at TSN. It was so funny. The funny thing is a lot of the comedy that comes from the broadcast crews like this is based somewhat on reality to a degree. I know he's not being totally serious, but in some ways, it probably does annoy him that he's gotten to the point in his broadcast career where he has to deal with crazy ass, silly rating segments like that, where they're rating him. It's like instead of the audacity. And I'll say this: your analyst rating was way too low at 90, Leo. You should have been at least a 98 on analyst rating. Seriously, and like he has said, you don't even need the notes, man. That was hilarious. That whole part was hilarious. And of course, Leo has to put up with Wilson Chang and his parlay bullshit. That he still is not accepted. You can tell the poor guy's been doing this for a couple years now. And it's our and we hate the gambling in the sport. And I know Leo hates it himself on the down low. So in some ways, he doesn't want to be nice to this dude. In some ways, he's always cracking on him, and he never takes that section of the show seriously, because honestly, it is a dumbass part of things, and in some ways, it's annoying, and I get it, and in some ways, I applaud any of the broadcasters who are kind of like sheepish and half-hearted about the fan duel bullshit and the doing the betting lines kind of stuff segments of our shows that are now in part of it, because this shit was never going to be a part of the NBA and while David Stern was alive. And in some ways, Leo's old school like us, and he rejects the gambling in the NBA. And that's another weird thing about that. But yeah, the rating stuff was hilarious. Yeah, it was hilarious. And I thought his reaction was so funny last night. He's so funny. Oh, it's so good, man. Leo, we love you, man. Brian saying, "What's up, Freak Nation? Glad my Vikings won, but sucks the Raptors lost. Missed the game, but I see those turnovers from the young guys are pretty high, but they are learning and will get better. Keep the faith." Dap to you, Brian. Y'all give a follow to The Point, another Raptors-related YouTube channel. Is good stuff. Great guests all the time on To The Point, so give us support to Brian. Yeah, turnovers were an issue last night. And let's go look at the team stats real quick, and we'll go and look at exactly why the Raptors had a rough time in the second half. They got 4 more shot attempts than us by the end of the game. So in some ways, they've manufactured more, and that was probably more from I don't know why exactly they got more shot attempts. Maybe it's because we weren't defensive rebounding enough, and they were getting second chance at times, especially in the second half. But yeah, we shot 45%. They shot 51%. So they shot better than us overall. They made 2 more threes than us by the end of the game, but we did shoot better from 3 percentage wise. The free throw discrepancy was +6 for the Lakers. And Matt and Jack talked about this on the air. The Nuggets and the Lakers have the best free throw discrepancy in their favor, and the Raptors have the worst in the whole entire league. We're 30th with -9.8 free throws per game. So we're getting, on average, 10 less free throw attempts than the other team over the course of the season so far. Some of that's just not getting respect. Some of that is our inexperience to know how to draw the fouls like a James Harden or a Nikola Jokic would. There's a lot of different factors in this. Some of it is referee bias and not willing to call fouls for RJ when he's driving to the hoop and he's getting hit. So there's a lot of different factors. Now, that wasn't a big part of what the problem was last night. And I commend the Raptors for making almost all their free throws last night. They only missed 3 out of the 22, shooting 86% from the free throw line. We did out-rebound them 40-33. But, there was some key second chance points for the Lakers that were really at bad opportune moments where we should have cleaned up the glass and gotten the ball back. And this was like in the fourth quarter last night. That was a real problem. Assists, 26, 30 for them. In some ways, we needed to carry more assists to the end of the game and find each other off of passes, whether it's Abaji in the corner, whether it's Grady cutting, whether it's a draw and kick. You go into the lane, somebody, and then all of a sudden Emmanuel's on the outside bombing a good 3. There's a lot of different ways to get a more open shot. And some of the stuff that was happening was these guys trying to shoot over their defender and just kind of not taking good high percentage shots. And that was a problem in the second half. Later, as the game kept going, it got worse and worse near the end. Steals, they got 9, and we only got 2 steals. That's weird because we've been doing so well with steals so far this season, with Shed and Mitchell being such dogs on the ball. And this may be part of the trade-off with Emmanuel coming back. It could also be that Emmanuel isn't up to speed with his point of attack defense and getting in that dog mentality like Davion and Jamal. So, man, only 2 steals for the Raptors? That doesn't seem right because, honestly, they've been getting so many steals in most of their games because they're just so annoying people when they're dribbling the ball up the court. So that was weird. That's weird. 4 blocks for them. They had 9 steals, and we only had 2 blocks and 2 steals. So our stocks were very low last night. Very, very low. Turnovers were bad. Really, really bad. And this is a big place where we lost. They only had 5 turnovers, and we had 18. So we almost quadrupled their amount of turnovers. That was a big problem. But also, once again, you got a couple factors. We're very green, young team overall. And then you've got LeBron James, who's out there kind of like really reading the game. As they said, he's a basketball savant. He understands the game really well, and he can see stuff. And, in some ways they're playing off of LeBron, whether it's his passing and getting other guys set up, or also he kind of reading what's going on the court. He can really see things developing and using his basketball IQ to kind of force the will for what he wants for the Lakers. So there's a lot of that involved in what happened last night. And the uneducated Raptors fan that doesn't know basketball on a deep level may not see how much LeBron James can control the game when he wants to. And he wanted to after AD went out. That was a big switch. That changed everything in the game. Points in the paint, they dominated. 60 points in the paint to 48 for us. We won the fast break points, though, by +5. But yeah, it was tough. It was a tough game. I love that we beat their ass for the first half and half of the third quarter. That is honestly, that is showing progress from the first time we played the Lakers. They came to our building, they jumped all over us and trounced us. And they scored an amazing amount of points in the first half in Toronto when they visited us here. And then we do a way better job in the first half last night. So there is progress in that. It's just that fatigue wall, AD going out being a hidden blessing for the Lakers. Yeah, that's really kind of the story of all this. Each NBA game is a snowflake. It's an individual snowflake that's different than any other NBA game. Sure, there's some characteristics that are similar some ways, but every single one is a different story to be told. And as that game goes on, and the events that happen with players, the coaches, the referees, the crowd, the arena, all kinds of stuff can help determine the outcome of the game. And in some ways, AD going out was a very big catalyst for the Lakers getting their act together and playing way better. It's almost like a switch got switched. It was crazy. It was so interesting and weird after that. It really was. Let's see. Cool Cat's here. Coach Cool Cat is in the house. Happy Monday morning to you, Cool Cat. I hope you're doing great today. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Love the competitive spirit of our youngins. Win or lose doesn't matter right now. Year one of rebuild. As I said, I want Raptors fans to chill out. Whatever happens with the Raptors is winning right now. In some ways, we have excuses if we lose. And if we win, well, that's gravy. It's great. But we're not winning right now. And it's tough for some people. And some people just got to let go of their identity being tied up into whether the Raptors going to win or not. In some ways, once again, I'll tell people that cannot handle our Raptors team struggling and not being as perfect as they want them to be, go get another hobby. Go watch another sport. Go watch another team. Whatever you got to do, if it's not helping you with your sanity, just, figure something out. Have a plan is what I'll tell people. Year one of a rebuild, it's looking great so far, even only 11 games into that rebuild. There's a lot of really good signs of all kinds of stuff on both levels with the 905 and with the Raptors. So many good signs. You see that wingspan on Oris Shamshe? Yeah, the future's real bright for this team. Because that wingspan on Prince Shamshe, that's going to be coming down the line at some point. We're going to be seeing that. And the agility, the fast movement of him getting up and down the court with that wingspan. Ooh, once he learns, oh my gosh, so bright. I got to wear these shades. That's right. That's what I'm saying, man. Nako's saying Kelly, Bruce, Scotty being out hurts us too. And this is a new team getting praised by the other team. Bruce Brown, is to be determined what he would help with exactly. But it could very well be a healthy Bruce Brown this time instead of what he was last year. Could be a whole other level of contribution to help the Raptors in our rotation. But we'll have to see when it gets there. Yeah, these guys are funny. Casey Bannerman, a great creator of Raptors and all kinds of NBA different great jerseys and stuff. Such a great artist. We love Casey Bannerman a lot. He's so funny. He's got this picture of the guys on the bench, and he's calling them the Royal Larry Tannenbaums. And that's hilarious because they do kind of have that vibe like that movie with Gene Hackman and the Wilson brothers and Gwyneth Paltrow, where they're all like kind of like quirky and have their own little identities and their own little worlds. Like Luke Wilson's like really into tennis or something, right? And Ben Stiller has like a jumpsuit that he wears with his son. Well, Casey, bravo on your funny ass comment. The Royal Larry Tannenbaum showing Garrett in the suit, Bruce with the cowboy hat, and Scotty looking like Terminator with his eye messed up in the leather jacket. Yeah, we're going to give Casey Bannerman a dunk, even though he's not on our channel. I wish he would come and watch us sometimes. Casey, if you watch us later on in the day on 1.5 or 1.5 or 1.75 speed, Man, I would be so honored if you enjoyed my art like I enjoyed yours. We'll have to see. All right, well, let's give him a 5 pointer like Emmanuel quickly. So Casey, you're on there for a Royal Tenenbaums joke. So funny. It's so funny. They really do have that vibe. I don't want to say they're like the village people because that's not exactly right. Although there is a cowboy, it's so weird. They really do have their own personalities, and even like Grady, not Grady, Kelly and Jacoby kind of have their own kind of like vibe to them too, as the other two guys are sitting out right now. Very, very fun. Very, very fun. Kareem saying it's personal for me, but Oshai gets my only star of the game. I actually really disliked this guy late last year, and even more after summer league. He won't win most improved of the NBA, but he won in my house. There you go. This is a really good lesson for people. In some ways, we could not allow for failure with a very short patience, and we really mess things up. That's what development is, guys. People were so ready to cut bait with Bruno Fernando parts of this season already, but we see where he can be very useful to our team in the last two games. It's the same thing. In some ways, we don't want to, like I said, you guys have no patience for failure. You have no patience for people not doing things exactly perfect. Well, if you cast them aside and you get rid of them too early, well, all of a sudden you're the New York Knicks and you're doing stupid shit with your roster build that you didn't need to do. Because in some ways, that train may not be in this to your station very soon. And that's Oshai Abaji. He wasn't stationed yet last season because he was just new from Utah and he had to learn things. And in some ways, we had to learn him and learn how to implement him in our offensive system better to very highly use his very natural skills and gifts that he has as a player build for him. And in some ways, we didn't do that at all last season. He just kind of came and we just threw him in the mix and he was just winging it. Well, Darko had some time to figure out the scheme and kind of tell him what we wants to key on. And boom, he's doing more of that kind of stuff. And we're seeing more success from him. It's like Jack said in the broadcast last night, you can't be good at everything. You need to be good at specific things and make those your bread and butter and go to those things and you'll be in good shape. You'll be in good shape. So let's think about this, whether it's the coach, whether it's young rookies, whether it's any player on our team, you're going to give up on somebody, don't give up on them too quick because they may come around and make it to your train station and still come through in the end, like Abaji's doing right now at Kareem's Hooterville station. Yeah, I just did a Petticoat Junction reference. That's right. That's Petticoat Junction. Petticoat Junction. Now I'm really old because that's not even from my time. That's from like the time of like my parents. And that's crazy. If y'all know what Petticoat Junction is, you should be just glad you're still walking on earth. How about that? Anyway, I love y'all. Kareem, thank you for coming around on Abaji and giving him a chance still. I wish Raptors fans would be more like you. G saying Bucks, Sixers, Utah all have 2 wins. Knicks only have 4 wins, except for Utah. These teams were expected to contend. Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of shocking that we're looking up at the Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Washington. So weird. It is so weird. The league is kind of upside down right now, and it's very West heavy with wins. The East, it's crazy. The Lakers were out of the play-in with a 500 record before our game last night, and then they win and they go up to like 6 in the Western Division. Meanwhile, the 3rd seed in the East is a 500 team. It's so crazy. It is so crazy. It's such a weird. And in some ways, the schedule makers, as much as they shafted us with a strength of schedule toughness this season, they did it to the whole Eastern Conference, apparently. Or is it really just that the Western Conference teams are so much more superior to the Eastern Conference right now? That may be true too, but it could very well be that the really bad Eastern teams like us are having to play a lot of West Coast teams right away at the beginning of the season. And that's part of the reason why their records look so good on that conference. It's a weird phenomenon. It's very, very weird. It's weird. I've never seen it so lopsided like this, where it's like there's only 2 winning Eastern Conference teams really at the top, and that's so weird. Stargate saying again, like I said last year, my concern is just like they say, winning is contagious. Equally, losing can also be very contagious as well. This is my worry here. Losing can get into players' psyche. No, I get what you're saying. And this is the problem with like purposefully tanking, but that's not what we're doing here. Some people may like to romanticize the idea that we're stealth tanking and that it's all part of a script and we're trying to do that. That's not true. We are trying to win. We are trying to play to win. But once again, we can get ourselves in the position more and more each game to have a better chance to win. That's great. That's part of the progress of development. We can develop guys on an individual level and get more gains out of people like Grady Dick and our young rookies. But we can do that as a team also. And the whole thing to look at in this scenario, Stargate, is are they competing at a high level of energy and getting after it? That's winning ways. Now, if the ball doesn't bounce into the hoop like it didn't for Jakob and RJ in the 2 games before the Laker game, then we don't win. And in some ways, we didn't do anything wrong. It's just the ball didn't go through at that time. I know you have concerns about building a culture of not winning games, but this is not what's happening here. In some ways, the fact that they're upbeat and they're staying positive and they understand the game plan to continue to learn how to win games in the NBA is there. And it's going to happen at some point. It's just that, once again, I'll use this analogy. We are the ripest banana. We're not the ripest banana. We are so unripened. We need time to mature and ripen. The banana is very green. We need the banana to turn more yellow over time. And right now, we just aren't ready. We're not ready to snatch games from people because in some ways we're so young and we don't understand the treasure map to get the wins. That is part of it right now. This is totally separate from losing culture, and this is totally separate from building a team that's used to losing a lot. They're not used to it, and they don't want to ever be used to it, and they shouldn't like it, and they don't. It's just that they also understand, instead of getting all down on themselves and, wallowing in it, that's not worthwhile either. So they need to go ahead and press on. And, like I said, this is going to change into W's at some point, and we'll see it. It may not be for a while, though, because the NBA really did stack the deck against us in our schedule. And it could be that we got to wait till 2025, and then we'll see way more success in closing out games to a victory. It would have been nicer if we had flipped our schedule exactly opposite, and we're playing the games that we were playing in April at the beginning of the season instead of the ones we did. It would have been an easier ramp up. But no, they threw us right into the top of the league at the beginning of the year, and this is what's going to happen. In some ways, this is why it's so positive, is because we're playing the best teams in the league in general, and that's a good sign. That's a very, very good sign right there. That's a very good sign. And to boot, Scotty's not been available for most of these games. So I get what you're saying, but that's not what's happening here. Trust me. It's not what's happening. And it's evident with the upbeatness and also the get after it, the not quit. And there's all kinds of stuff that will improve. Nako's saying you could look at it as if the Raptors are exceeding expectations. Yeah. No, I would say this. People look at the paper and they'll see them in the standings and be like, wow, the Raptors really suck this year. 1.87 winning percentage. That's horrible. Well, I really didn't realize they were so bad this year. Okay, casual that may be more of a Leaf fan or a Blue Jays fan, and you're just checking in on them. Okay, you go ahead and chime in with your uneducated views on what's going on here. I think Nako's exactly right. The fact that we've hung with these teams and not got blown out in 30-point deficits or 20-point deficits on the regular in most of these losses shows that we are in some ways exceeding expectations. So big, good comment there, Gerald. You're exactly right. Kareem's saying you can tell the Raptors were fatigued after this West Coast swing, and it was evident during the third quarter our legs weren't there. Exactly. And it just happened to coincide with LeBron deciding, I'm going to take over the game now. And what are we going to do? LeBron is LeBron. And we've seen that beautiful pass he threw to Austin Reeves, like to the side. Oh, my gosh. In some ways, I'm not a LeBron fan. I can talk shit about him, but I was in awe of him last night. And in some ways, I was like, yeah, he is really good. He is really good. You got to give credit where credit is due. And if he's working and he's showing his genius instead of laziness and some of the stuff he's been doing the last few years, well, I can get into the place where I'm like, LeBron James is really one of the greatest players to ever play the NBA. Seriously, I will admit that after something like what happened last night, because he played an amazing second half last night. He really did. Another triple-double. The dude's amazing. And like when they showed his stats against like Kareem and Robert Parrish and those other guys that got to 40 that were still playing the league, you see how lower their stats are. And LeBron's still averaging over 20 points. Karl Malone was averaging like 10 points at 40. So it is a real testament. Now, some of that does have to do with sports science being at a higher level at this point, but still, it also is a testament to how LeBron James has taken care of his body his whole entire career and stayed so strong and durable. It's very, very interesting. That's right. Mike's here. One-eyed ogre. You laugh out loud. One-browed ogre, I should say. Yeah. Bit of like fee fi fo fum. Jack and the Beanstalk. There's a magic cow and some beans. Yeah, and he went up there. We tried to do something up there. Emmanuel quickly climbing up the yak. I guess it's Yak in the Beanstalk. Maybe it's Jakob in the Beanstalk. Well, he punched that one-browed ogre in the eye, and then he had to fight the giant, and the giant came out and stomped him. That's just how it goes. I mean, the fairy tale is a little bit different, I think, in the outcome. We needed to chop down the beanstalk before he got down. LeBron came down the beanstalk too quick. Damn it. That's crazy. Yeah, Fiercey's here. Good to see MJ. Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. We are now number 15 in the East, but I'm not worried. I see great things from the players, and if they continue playing hard, the L's will convert to W's. Go Raptors. Well, we want to, in some ways, I want to garner the positive side of life. I like to be optimistic. And, well, we're in a really good place for the draft next year. That's what I'll say. We're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference right now, and it's the worst conference between the two conferences. Well, at least our draft percentages to get the number one pick in the draft next year are very high right now. So, always look on the bright side of life, Eric Idle, is what I say right now. Always look on the bright side of life. Yeah, I don't want to whistle right now. In some ways, it's not a good thing. Fiercey, always good to see you in the chat. And go Raptors is right. That's right, MJ. That's right. Bryce is here. Look at that. The man from Kentucky has returned. Finally, the man from Kentucky has returned to the chat. Bryce Lawson in the house. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. With Lex with the slight LeBron glaze. No, listen, man. I have to keep my credibility. I can't be such a hater that I just absolutely go off on somebody. No, that was a masterful performance. I've seen LeBron play the Lakers, play the Raptors at times in recent years, and I'm like, man, he's so fucking lazy. He's like not trying. And in the first half, he was like that. But in the second half, a switch happened, and he showed vintage kind of LeBron stuff. And I mean, yeah, in some ways, you can call me a glazer or whatever, stuff like that. Listen. I think that LeBron is great in certain ways. It's just in some ways I don't like him. So it is what it is. Stargate saying that Balco was on full display last night. LeBron got his money's worth last night. LeBron was funny in the morning. All right. This is a funny LeBron story. In the morning, LeBron tweeted that he just had a dream. He'd just been woken up from by his alarm. And he was talking about, I dreamed that I was going to Duke. Of course, LeBron came out of high school. Everybody knows that. Didn't go to university. And he was dreaming that he played at Duke at Cameron with Coach K as his coach. And he was like, it was amazing. It was so good. It was so crazy in there. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg came out and started playing in the next episode. And it was like, it was amazing. This is so weird. James gets up on a Sunday morning. He's about to play the Raptors, and he puts out a tweet talking about wanting to play for Coach K in his subconscious, because that's really what it was. Maybe in some ways, if I'm going to psychoanalyze him on his tweets last night, maybe he regrets being straight from high school and not getting the college experience of playing for a team like Duke and doing that. Maybe he wanted to be a little bit more like RJ Barrett, because that's the stuff that RJ did. RJ played for Coach K and Cameron. Didn't he play for Coach K? Was he the coach then? I think he was, yeah. And so in some ways, RJ knows exactly what LeBron was dreaming of because he played for Duke. But I think it's really weird, too, that LeBron is like the musical artist that comes out is a musical artist that came out before, like it was really right around when he was born. Next episode, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. That's like when I was in high school, and that's like early 90s. And like, what is LeBron's 40? So yeah, that's about right. So it's like the music of when he was a toddler is like the next episode coming out. Is that right? Yeah. He was a little kid when that came out. So that makes sense. But yeah, of all the songs in the world, it's Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Next episode is the one that's in his dream. I'll go little Carl Jung and get him on the couch, Sigmund Freud, and look at LeBron's dreams and read into them. Okay, so you regret coming out of high school straight to the NBA. and you should have played college ball. Is what it seems like to me right there. It's kind of crazy. Smooth saying Toronto was really trying to win that Clippers game. They had no legs last night. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Even though there was no travel in this back to back, who knows what they were doing in between with being in LA. I mean, I'd like to think these guys are professionals and they're not doing anything crazy like having parties all night like some people do when they come to Toronto. I don't think that's what the case was. I think this was just a legitimate buildup of fatigue from a lot of travel. We've got to realize they've been on the road for a week now. And then also the time change was a big factor in the later games this week. I mean, we felt it watching the games over here and having to stay up so late. And honestly, the game against the Clippers was the latest ending game of the whole season. It was like 2 a.m. Eastern time round then when they actually finished the Clipper game because it started not even at 10, it was at 10:30, and it seemed to take a long time. So, I mean, this is a natural thing that guys are going to get tired out at a certain point. And well, we hit a wall as a group collectively last night at the wrong time with the wrong timing of things. That is totally true right there. Totally true. Mike saying back to back second half gas out. Yeah. Yeah, I back to back. Yeah, we had good energy all the way up until the end with the Clippers, and it was a very close game that we just barely lost. But that's how it is. You lose that energy, and if you're a team like the Raptors who have no margin for error, that game will unravel real quick and get away from you, and boom, all of a sudden it's a 20-point lead for the Lakers. That's just how it is. This is what this league's about in some ways. Gerald saying, yeah, they seemed gassed out at the second half, and I thought they looked like the better team in the first half. They totally won the first half. And that's an accomplishment in itself, considering how they got beat so bad in the first half by the Lakers in Toronto. And that's crazy because they did it in their arena. In some ways, I was enjoying it because in both games against the Clippers and the Lakers, we carried and were leading for a lot of the games. And that's really fun because it's keeping the home crowd quiet. And that's kind of fun to see like the discomfort of a team that's supposed to be way better than us because they all look at us as bottom feeders, a rebuilding team that's supposed to be absolute shit. And when we're beating them for a majority of the game, that's not enjoyable for the crowd that's there watching the game because they're worried. They're pensive. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the Raptors have been beating us this whole game. Ben Affleck sitting in the front trying to explain to his son why the Raptors are beating the Lakers right now. Why are they beating us right now? Listen, where's Matt Damon? He can explain this to him. Oh man, it's so crazy. LA's crazy, man. Those games are crazy. That was a really funny moment when RJ Barrett recognized Jamie Lannister. I was like, I know that's what that was. It was like RJ makes that shot and he's flexing at the crowd, and then he walks back, and then he walks back and he's like, hey, you, and he does like a little point, it's you, and he points at some guy, and I was like, all right, that's either him recognizing some Hollywood star at courtside at the LA game, or he's like talking shit to somebody who talked shit to him after he made a basket. Well, it was the first one. It was a celebrity, and I'm glad they circled back and showed who it was. It was, of course, from Game of Thrones, the actor who played Jamie Lannister in that show, and that's funny. Like that RJ's kind of used to this because he played in the New York market, and to be honest, Toronto gets its star-studded people too. Other than our global ambassador, there's often some very big celebrities at Raptors games too, but New York and LA get the most of them, and LA probably even more than the Knicks. But yeah, RJ should be used to seeing famous faces at the court side, and because in New York, Ben Stiller's always there. There's certain Knicks fans that are always there. And well, yeah, he got starstruck by seeing Lannister last night. That was a pretty funny little moment. I was like, oh, he had to have seen a celebrity because the way he reacted was so classic in that moment. RJ's so funny. He's so funny. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Mike is saying a lot of rookies are doing their first West Coast road trip. It's a certain hardship we face every year. It's a learning moment. This West Coast road trip came in the season. We got to talk about this. These guys got like a week of the schedule, and then they immediately went into a 5-game West Coast road trip, one of their big road trips of the year. There's 2 of them, and the second one is later in the season. And this one, being so near the beginning of the season, is another scheduling factor that's very difficult about things. And, in some ways, once again, the teams we're playing on the road are very good teams, and it's tough to win on the road in the first place. So everybody is so mystified by why the Raptors don't have a road win. I mean, really, if you dig deep, you can understand why. Seriously, and the media may keep harping on it, and people may be like, "Ooh, they haven't won a road game. They haven't won a road game." Who cares? Who cares? We're gonna win one at some point, and it'll be fine. Either way, it's not like this year is all about winning and trying to go for a championship, people. So chill the fuck out. And like seriously, who cares if we have won a road game? We've had the hardest schedule and we're one of the worst teams in the league. And that just says enough right there. That's right. It's a learning moment. And not to mention just what Mike said is these rookies are getting their first orientation of what NBA West Coast long road trip is like. And in some ways, they're learning just from being there and being like, oh, wow, I'm in La La Land. And they were like, I'm in Los Angeles. And well, this is what you do when you're on the road trip. You go to your hotel room and you watch movies and play video games and stay the fuck away from the party and life scene, the night scene. That's what I say. That's what Garrett Temple's probably on double duty. Hey, youngster, come on with me. Hey, we're going to go get a nice dinner out at this restaurant in LA that I know. And we're just going to go there. And then we're going to go back to the hotel room and we're going to watch some tape. All right, Jacoby. All right, Jamal, let's go. There may have been some of that's going on in the last 24 hours or so with the Raptors, just so y'all know. The last 48 hours, I should say, the whole road trip. Let's see. Carlos here. Good to see Carlos. Santino, last in the East, going to be tough season for us all. We knew this going in. And that's why I had my, lowered expectations, just like the old Mad TV skit that was hilarious back in the day. Yeah, I've lowered my expectations for the Raptors a lot. And in some ways, everybody else should be doing this too. If people are hardlining and saying, oh, the Raptors should be winning because they see the score and it's so close, and like, why didn't they win? Because once again, you got to piece together that treasure map to understand what it takes to win NBA games. And that knowledge is not just something that gets dumped in your head automatically. In some ways, sure, there's natural winners that come out and they just like are amazing talents that can shape games right away when they come into their NBA careers. But that is not very common. That is maybe like 1 out of 10,000 players, or 1 out of let's say 500 players that ever come to the league, or like that. Maybe even less. Maybe 1 out of 1,000, because it's such a rare kind of thing to have an immediate impact on winning, like Tim Duncan did, like David Robinson did back in the day. This as rookies, people that come in, they don't come in pre-programmed to know how to win in the NBA, and we are playing for rookies so far this season in our lineup, in our rotation. So let's see, where were we in there? Stargate saying, question, Lex, you mentioned the two Knicks went into hero ball ISO mode in the second half. So did they do that in their own, not listening to the coach, or was it to be instructed by them? Well, in some ways, all right. Darko has a set system that he likes them to play through. But what happens is we get into hero ball when we panic. And what happened was it coincided together at the same time. This whole point in the third quarter where AD went out, LeBron took over as the primary guy instead of just being a glue guy kind of in the background, kind of facilitating and watching over things. He became very much more activated as far as he's the man now and he has to carry the Lakers to the win because Davis is out. Well, that coincided with us getting fatigued. And what happens is the Lakers smell blood and they understand that we're getting tired. And well, they increase their defensive intensity. And it's a natural reaction to that kind of behavior to go on your own and try and do stuff on your own in hero ball to get around it. It could very well be. We saw at times we see weak passes by the Raptors where they don't put enough zip on the ball. And RJ had one last night where he threw it and he didn't throw it hard enough, and they get in the passing lane, they steal it, and they're running down and getting a layup at the other end. Well, that's part of it right there too. Is if our team is just playing soft all of a sudden, and they are simultaneously ramping up their defensive intensity and making it harder for us. Well, Emmanuel may have a harder time passing it around and getting into Darko's system because we're tired, they're amped up, they're playing better defense. So as another symptom of this is the shot clock violations, whether we can't get to a good shot because we're tired, which they weren't in the first half. And then Emmanuel and RJ are trying to do hero ball just to save us for getting a shot before the shot clock runs out. That's kind of how it happens right there, Stargate. It's not necessarily that they're disregarding Darko. It's that they're doing what they need to do in that second to do what we need to do because the shot clock and maybe because our offensive system stymied because the defensive pressure is upgraded. Does that make sense? That's a big part of it all right there. Kareem's saying in December we have 7 straight home games. That and the combination with fully healthy squad, we will get the ball rolling. Season officially starts after Christmas. I knew that everything before the season in-season tournament ends is going to be crap. I knew it was going to all be very difficult and that honestly, we weren't going to get a fair shake with anything until this stupid tournament is over for the season. Now, the crazy ironic thing is we could be so bad so far with our record in the bottom of the league, and we could actually win a couple of our in-season tournament games this week. I think that the game against Milwaukee, our next game tomorrow night, is very gettable. We've seen how dysfunctional the Bucks are right now. So it's very, very gettable. Now, it's an in-season tournament game, and maybe the NBA doesn't want to write the narrative that Giannis and the Bucks have gotten so bad that they're going to lose an in-season tournament game to the Raptors at home. Then we have to really pay attention to the ref crew tomorrow and who's going to be there, because if it's Ed Malloy or Scott Foster, we're fucked. I'm just going to say that right now. I'll say that a day before we even know who the refs are. If we see either of those two names, we're fucked. Now, if we get a fair ref crew and we do give a good effort and we kick some major ass, we could steal that first in-season tournament win. And then we get Detroit on Friday. And of course, Detroit's playing better this year, but it's still a game at home. And it is the possibility that the Raptors could be 2-0 in the in-season tournament by Friday night. So we'll have to see. There are opportunities there. In some ways, this season's not going well, but maybe our in-season tournament season could go really well in a weird, kind of strange way that's opposite what the rest of things are going on. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I agree with this. We get that home stretch that you're talking about. We get healthy, and all of a sudden, we turn it on, and maybe we're winning at a better clip percentage. After that, I totally agree with that. Yeah, Cool Cat saying I missed a few sessions last week, but I'm back better. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Cool Cat. Last week was a tumultuous week, and in some ways, a lot of us just needed to find our center and recalibrate things for the events of what happened last week. I totally understand that. That kind of stuff is really dismaying, and honestly, it's horrific. But we can only control what we can control, and we try and make the best of our lives no matter what, and allow for good things to happen, even if it does seem very dire. It does seem very, very dire. Yeah, I appreciate you coming back and being around. And you know what? When some of the regulars are not here, I do notice it. Some of y'all are so like regularly here that your presence not being here is felt. Just so you know. Smooth saying, I think the Clippers have a 12-game win streak against the Raps, man. I don't know if that's exactly true. I don't think that's right, because we did beat the Clippers in the last 3 years. There was a game where we beat them in LA, and it was around Christmas. I remember because my parents were up for Christmas and we watched the game in a hotel room downtown. I watched it with my dad, and it was such a nice memory because I remember I didn't think we were going to beat the Clippers, but we did. We did beat them in this game. So that's not true. We only play them 2 times every year. We didn't beat them last year, but the year before that, I'm pretty sure we beat them around Christmas time at their place too, in their arena. So check that, Smooth. If you really want to fact check that, I could tell you that there was a game we beat them, and we haven't got a 12-game losing streak to them. It's more like a 4 or 5-game, maybe a 3-game losing streak right now. I don't think it's that many. I really don't. Mike saying, Carlo, we had a stack beginning to the season with playoff team matchups. We will be able to get some wins. That's right. They stacked the cards against us at the beginning of the season. This long road, this crazy road trip right away. The caliber of the teams we're playing, a lot of Western Conference teams that are top notch right away. I mean, we're done with the Lakers for the season. We're done with Sacramento. We're done with Denver for the season. We don't play these teams again for the rest of the year. In some ways, that's an issue because we could show a lot of improvement over the whole course of the year in developing. And in some ways, that's giving these teams help. Denver Nuggets don't have to face us when we're further down the line and doing better. They don't have these outcomes of just barely beating us in overtime. The Lakers, they're lucky they're playing us now, because by the end of the season, we probably kick their ass because we got it figured out more. And that makes sense. That makes sense right there. That makes sense a lot right there. That's right. Stargate saying, I like Simone. She's slowly becoming my second favorite rep beside Billy Kennedy. Yeah, she's got a nice demeanor. She seems all right. She is really green, just like our team. She's a very, very young ref. And this is only like the fifth time she's ever ref for us. So she's very, very, very new. And yeah, she's not bad. She's not bad. I thought they did a good job last night. John Butler is the one I like the least. Tony Brothers is fine. Tony Brothers was very matter of fact and just kind of how he does things. There were a couple calls I could be nitpicky and say that they weren't the right calls, but overall, he was very fair. They were both very fair. I may have not agreed with that one travel call that RJ got as far as him collecting the ball and getting into transition. You got to allow for them to try and get the ball under control while they're running. And I don't even think he took that many steps. Now, on the other hand, that call where our Raptors bench and jumped up out of their seat with Anthony Davis going through the lane, that looked like a total travel. And Kelly Olynyk and Scotty were telling Tony Brothers at that moment. I also love how Scotty is very cognizant of the rule about getting on the court from the bench, and that causes a technical. Tony Brothers did warn them last night about coming onto the court, and Scotty's kind of the protector for this. He's kind of holding guys back and say, no, don't get on the court, because he knows from before when we got in trouble for that, when the Raptors bench gets a little too exuberant and they're celebrating or getting mad about a call, they come on the court. That's a problem. And Tony Brothers warned our bench about that. And Scotty's kind of the gatekeeper, keeping our guys back. Jakob said after the game last night that our guys that are out are so awesome. They're so engaged in the game, and they really are helpful and calling out things that they're seeing from the court and advocating for us with the referees. Once again, Garrett Temple dressing up, looking like a lawyer, studying to be a lawyer, and coming to the game and on our behalf. Well, he's kind of like our lawyer. And in some ways, his long career in the NBA and his relationships with all kinds of referees and other coaches and players is very beneficial for this team. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Then you got the cowboy yelling at him, too, as far as like Bruce Brown. Oh, man, they're such a cool crew. They really are. It's really awesome. Brian saying, seeing on X so many people calling Yak a dirty player now, shaking my head. I knew this would happen as soon as it happened. It's unfortunate the way it looks. It does look very dirty. And this is a Raptors fan saying it, but I know Jakob's heart and his personality. He's not trying to hurt anybody out there or do anything like this. In some ways, this is incidental contact, but also it does look really bad. And I knew Laker Nation was going to bring him out to be enemy number one this morning, because in some ways they look at it as like, you're trying to take out our season, bro. And I get it. I get it. They're crazy people. In some ways, I tune them out. I do not want to see what they're saying right now about Jakob, because it's probably going to make me mad and make me want to respond. And so I'm not even going to go there and look at it, Brian. I'm not even going there and look at any of the toxic noise Laker Nation saying about our center right now. It's not worth it. Nako saying, didn't Masai find 2 more gems in a bad draft? I'm having more fun this season than last season. Well, this is true. I don't think he just found 2 more gems. Seriously, if we really want to go deep on this, we could say that he's found like 6 or 7 more gems this offseason. Seriously, and we got to look at it for the long term. We can go Jacoby Walter, who looks okay. He's kind of the one I'm not totally sure about right now. Shed's a gem. Mobo's a gem. Jamison Battle, who came to us out of the draft through our summer league, is definitely a gem. And that's been a really good uncovered gold kind of purse. Because like Jamison makes his threes, he can stay in the league for a long, long time. And then we got Shamshay, who's the project, who's coming up through the ranks. That's an important one. And then we got people like Carlson. Carlson had such a good, strong debut for 905. There is still a lot of promise for him to find his way to the Raptors, especially since it's evident that Brendan Carlson has put on weight and muscle since getting cut from his 2-way contract. It motivated him. And I could tell, like, he looked so much stronger in that first game against Delaware Bluecoats, that this dude is wanting his career. And if he's going to be able to do this quickly, like the Grady year last year, well, it could very well be Brendan Carlson is going to be playing for the Maine Raptors by the end of the year. We'll have to see. So, I mean, that's 6 players right there that are all in their rookie year, and to some degree look very useful and possibilities for the future. So, man, I would say that 2 more gems, I don't know, it's more than that, maybe even half a dozen. Yeah, you're having more fun this season. I think we all are. I think that there's real reasons why it is. In some ways, watching Nick Nurse's offensive struggles, he was really a defensive coach more, and our team would offensively stagnate so awfully. It was painful to watch. That's not the case with our team anymore. Sure, there was some stagnation last night from fatigue, but overall, our team has competitively scored against top NBA teams this whole entire season so far. And that's a testament to it. The fact that the Raptors have had the highest assist totals in the first year of Darko last year, and they're continuing this year. And then also, this Raptors team right now is one of the highest scoring average Raptor teams in the history of our 30 years. Even though we're not winning, we're definitely putting the ball in the hoop. And that's something that is a little mini pick me up. And ooh, that's fun to watch when the Raptors score. And when they're having an easier time scoring than they did a couple years ago with Nick Nurse and the really crazy bad offense that we had for a while there, it's fun. And like some of it is people like Grady coming in and being such a sure shot from three. No, feeling a little more powerful because RJ and Emmanuel have immense talent in offense and helping to carry us in tough times. Emmanuel quickly hits a crazy three all of a sudden, and we're like, yeah, we bad like that. That's part of what's fun about it is that we are much more offensively capable than we were in recent years past. And that makes it a lot more fun to watch. But yeah, it's definitely way more fun. Even if our record's so bad, this season's way more fun to watch than 2 years ago or even some parts of last year. Yeah. Kareem's saying, I have to applaud Kelly and Bruce Brown. Kelly looks like Silent Bob's sidekick. Yeah, he looks like Jay. He looks like Jay. And Bruce looks like he's ready to ride a mechanical bull or round up the herd after the game. Yeah, I love that Bruce is taking the cowboy hat on the road. In some ways, that's an easy target for way audiences to talk trash. But I guess Bruce in LA, he can get away with being an LA Cowboy because in some ways, they beat the Lakers in pretty good ways in the last few years, the Nuggets, putting them out of the playoffs. And Bruce was a part of that when they won the championship. So in some ways, it's like, yeah, talk trash to me, LA crowd. But remember, this cowboy has a ring, and we got it over you guys and stuff like that. Bruce is cool. I'm getting to more and more like Bruce, and I especially like how he's integrated, and he really is a team player. And even though some of the Raptors fans are like, yeah, just trade him, get him out of here. We need to get the next thing for him. I think that he's done a really good job of showing solidarity. And you know what? He doesn't hate being in Toronto. It's not like this is a stop that's a detour that's kind of annoying to him. He's really relishing it and he's soaking it up and he's making the best of it. And in some ways, that's better than a guy like Rudy Gay, who said, I never even want to be in Toronto. He's a little shit. And he comes out and says it after he retires. Screw you, Rudy Gay. But yeah, Bruce Brown, in some ways, he never saw himself coming to Toronto, but he's making the best of it. And that's the kind of attitude I like. In some ways, Bruce Brown may have cowboy boots and cowboy hat commercials up in Canada because he treated his relation with our franchise, our city, and our country way more intelligently than some of these other knuckleheads. They're like, Canada? I wouldn't want to play in Canada. Well, he's embracing it. He loves Timbits, apparently. So that's what I say about that. That's right. Mike's saying whether you win or lose, you're upsetting someone. Exactly. I mean, some people are just that way, Mike. They can't be happy. It doesn't matter. They can have all the things in the world. This is why money won't solve unhappiness. You can have all the money in the world. You'll still be a miserable fuck. I'm telling you, man. You got to find solace and happiness on your own. And the simple things are the easiest things to derive it from. You can naturally produce serotonin and happy endorphins in your body by engaging in small little things like just sitting out in nature for 10 minutes in your yard and just not saying anything, just soaking it in, looking at the trees, looking at the leaves, looking at the birds, observing and learning about the natural world will take you to a place of meditation that will make you leave all of the outside worries and give you peace of mind. It's a real easy way to do it. It's naturally here, and it has nothing to do with any stimulants. It has to do with just you finding your connection with the natural world. Too many of us are out of touch with that. And that's a real easy way to be happier is get back to nature. How about that? How about that? Boom, dropping the dynamite there. Carlos saying 100% logical Raptors fanatic. Yeah, some people are just miserable. They're going to have something to complain about. We could win games and they're going to still nitpick. We could lose games like we are. They're going to tell us, oh, why are you not winning? But if we win, they're going to say, oh, we need to tank because we want to get a high draft pick. Why did you try and win that? Yeah, I mean, they're always going to have something stupid they're going to say. Fiercely saying, when watching the replays of Jakob hitting AD and LeBum, it was clearly not intentional. I know it wasn't because of him and his personality, but to Lakers fans, they're going to see that and they're going to think he did that shit on purpose. In some ways, when he put his hand, he did kind of put it towards his face. I'm trying to be fair here. In some ways, I'm not so crazy like from our side that I'm gonna make up lies. This is a big problem in the world today. It's like I'm so on this side, I'm gonna lie about everything just to benefit this. And some ways, I'll be honest about this. It didn't look totally clean in some ways. I know that he in his heart is not the kind of person that's trying to hurt anybody in this league. He's just that kind of guy. You can tell when you hear him talk. But he did kind of do something. But the great news is Dr. Alley's saying this. Dr. Alley, Josh Lewenberg's little friend that's on Twitter with him, she's saying that this issue for AD may only have him out for like 3 days. That depending on things, sometimes this kind of stuff, you come back from a scratch eye like that. But it was weird because he's leaving the court and it was already swelling up. And he absolutely could not continue in the game after that because it did swell his eye lit up and he couldn't see out of that eye anymore. Well, how the fuck is he going to play basketball with one eye? He literally became a one-eyed ogre at that point with a unibrow. That's right, with a unibrow. That's right. I mean, it is what it is. Nako saying Oklahoma City has such a small amount of playoff experience and they're favorites in the West. Well, this is why I don't believe in them completely. I mean, they did add to their experience last year and they learned a tough lesson about what exactly it takes. As much as our guys that just came to the league, like Shed and Mobo, need to learn what it takes to win the NBA, well, that is a lesson you have to learn at every stage of the upping of the competition, whether it's the first round of the playoffs, learning how to win a playoff game. There's a learning curve to that. There's a learning curve to learning how to win a series. Then once you get past the first round, there's a whole other learning curve to learning how to win in the second round, all the way up to the championship. And that's why I tell people when we won our championship in 2019, all of the failures of DeMar and Kyle in the 2010s were those stair steps that built us up to get to the chance to get the Larry O'Brien. And that's why, in some ways, the Oklahoma City Thunder may not be favorites to win because there may be some young lessons at the highest levels of intensity in the playoffs that they still have to learn. It could be that they have to get in the finals and play against the Eastern Conference team and lose there to really understand what it takes to win a championship. That's why I wouldn't put money on the Thunder to win this year as much as I want them to win. They're the team in the whole entire league that I want to win the most in some ways, other than the Pacers. If it's not going to be Siakam and the Pacers, well, in some ways, I'd like to see SGA. They have some really high level of success and be more in the MVP conversation. But this is part of what we have to understand is there's a escalator once again where different teams are in different places of experience and knowledge of what it takes to win at which level of the NBA and which level of competition. And that's the big part of it right there. They had their one of their big steps last year. But, people thought they were going to go all the way to the finals. Well, they're a very young core, and they have to learn how to do it. They have to learn how to do it. Jimmy's here. Good to see the Pope of Positivity back in the house. Original Raptor freak, Jimmy Pope. Always welcome back. Good to see you, man. Over the years, it feels like every other game, someone on our team gets a busted lip. Those players look soft compared to what we have gotten over the years. So I feel no ways. I mean, I hated when Scott got hit in the face, but seeing his face all jacked up since, like it's been over a week. It's been like a week or so. Has it been like 2 weeks now? Almost. It's 2 weeks today when Scotty got hit in the face by Joker, and it's a legit injury. You can see it on his face when you see him that like this dude really seriously had his eye close up. And we didn't see any pictures of him in the first 4 days after the injury. He could have been completely shut up. His eye could have been completely closed. And then when he showed up at the game later that week, his eye looked really messed up still, and it still looks messed up last night. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the league is weird. This year, they're allowing so much physicality underneath the basket. It's good. I like it because that's like the FIBAization of allowing the defense to do a little bit more near the basket. It's great. Honestly, I like it way better this way, but there may be a little bit of like figuring it out and maybe a little bit of injuries added. Now, the one place where the injuries are happening the most and is a real problem are on the screens. The screens, and that's the injury to Jacoby. That's the injury to RJ from Jonas Valanciunas. That's the stuff that's really dangerous. And that's what's putting a lot of people out. That there's a lot of dirty picks and a lot of picks that are just like walls where guys are running into them. In some ways, teams need to be looking out for each other and calling them out better in communication just to save your guy from going to the injury list. So, yeah, it's interesting. There's some changes this year, and the physicality underneath the basket is one of the biggest changes for sure. Kareem saying Jakob is like Clifford the big red dog. He's big, but he means no harm. Yeah, in some ways, he might hurt somebody just because he's big. In some ways, I mean, he really doesn't have this personality. In some ways, I wish he had a little bit more of that kind of personality, but also in some ways, I respect him for being a friendly giant. And in some ways, things are going to happen sometimes. He gets a lot of hits too. He gets knocked in the face too. He got hit in the face in the Clipper game pretty bad by Zubac, and he was on the floor and holding his nose. So it's a two-way street. Honestly, it's a two-way street. And you know what? Everybody should just be like, we don't want to get anybody hurt. And there is a certain level of this in the history of the NBA where it's like you don't want to take away a guy's livelihood by playing so dirty. That's why I hate the plays where guys are getting up and elevating on a fast break to go to the basket to lay it up, and somebody undercuts them or pushes them while they're in the air. That is so bush league and so dangerous. And you are messing with people's livelihoods when you do shit like that. That's the worst dirty shit right there. Is when somebody leaves their feet and they're trying to elevate and get to the rim and somebody undercuts them. That's so bad. And we've had that happen to some of our guys this year in absolute dirty ways. That undercut that happened to Emmanuel put him out for a while because he couldn't catch himself under Darius Garland. And that was a problem. That was a problem. Let's keep going. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. With your God-given talent, use what's available to help you to make this world a better place for you and the entire human race. Well, this is part of why I try and do this every morning is I want to be a service to Raptors fans as far as informing them on the issues and kind of thinking about things in an educated way, a learned way of watching the NBA for 40 years, honestly, this guy right here and also, entertain. I like to entertain and be funny. And you guys get something from listening to me and this. Oh, Lex is so silly with his crazy stuff and what he does on this channel with Justin Bieber and all that kind of stuff. That's me using my talent. Well, what's your talent out there? I ask you to figure out what you're good at and go out there and share it with the world, just like what Randolph's saying. Blessings to you, Randolph. I appreciate you. And thank you for your words of wisdom as always. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freaks families. Carlos saying, hopefully we get a center for our second rounder. If only we have two yaks. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. Interesting stuff with our kids from Toronto last night with Zach Edey and Delano getting into it in a blowout against the Portland Trailblazers for the Memphis Grizzlies. Really a lot of smack talk there. Very venomous, too. And very much right at the end of the game talking trash. I could see it being this. It could be that Zach maybe said some trash to Delano and they were blowing them out. And Delano's just like, man, you just showed up. Stop being so big in your britches and talking trash. And then like Zach was like, well, what are you going to do about it? And then all of a sudden we got two Toronto guys kind of getting in each other's faces at the end of the game last night with Memphis and Portland. It is what it is. Toronto, we love you guys. The Toronto guys, be good to each other. In some ways, you guys may be teammates at some point. Maybe it's something that has to do with something around town and growing up around in Rexdale and stuff like that. And people have a history of some sort. I don't know. Either way, this isn't good for Team Canada if we're going to have Zach Edey playing with Delano Banton at any point. I'm sure they're fine. But, man, it looked real serious there for a second. It really, really looked serious right there. Mike's saying we're not going to stay second worst. We will get more wins later. And this is the thing that where people are going to get upset. They're going to say, well, if we started so bad, why didn't we just stay bad the whole entire season? Nah, listen, don't get it twisted. Then you start getting into that area that some people have been worried about earlier about and teaching people how to lose. No, you can't do it that way. We have to naturally win the games as we're supposed to with our talent and experience level and whether our injuries are going on with what's going on too. And in some ways, when this is going to naturally happen because the schedule is going to get better. And I can already predict right now there's going to be a certain section of Raptors fans that are going to whine and cry because all of a sudden we're doing better and getting more wins when they are the same ones that were whining and crying that we weren't getting wins now. Oh, my gosh. It's so frustrating. And you can't please these people. You really, really can't. I want the Raptors to win every game they can possibly win this season. And they're not able to win these games recently. And I can accept that. But when they do start turning around and hopefully start winning games this season, I want the people to not change their tune, little birds singing. Why are they winning now? I thought we were trying to tank. I don't want to hear any of this shit. Seriously, you guys got to understand. Darko and the team want to win. They're trying to win. It's just not adding up right now. It's just not adding up right now. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. G saying Fever were 2-9 to start the year and made the playoffs. I don't think they will make the playoffs, but who knows? Playing is still possible, whatever happens. This is exactly true. And honestly, that's not far fetched. We could still be a play-in team. There's still a lot of season to go. And in some ways, what is worth more, guys? I don't know, getting the high draft pick. Maybe we can get the high draft pick and still be in the play-in. I mean, look at Atlanta. Atlanta was in the play-in last year, and they got the number 1 pick statistically. So it's like, we can do what we can't control, but we can't control the ping pong balls, and we can't control certain things, but we can control trying to win for ourselves. And in some ways, we need to try and win more and more and control winning effort. That's the most important thing we can control. In some ways, guiding ourselves to get to a higher position in the draft by manipulating and getting losses when we could have won, that's not the right idea. That's not the right idea. And once again, I'll say this. Our front office is high level, maybe one of the best in the whole entire league, is probably one of the best in the whole entire league. And we don't care if we pick first or fifth or seventh or 10th. We're going to get a good player. That's all I got to say on this. And in some ways, the challenge for Masai and Bobby is, all right, where did we land? Darko, this is where you got us at the end of the season in the standings, and the ping pong balls bounce this way, and this is where we end up. All right, we work with what we got, and we're going to make the best value pick at this point. So it really doesn't matter. It's not like we really are going for number 1, Cooper Flag. We're not trying to capture the flag necessarily. But if we get in the top 5 lottery, that's going to be a good player, trust me. And if we do mess around and get more wins, and all of a sudden we're in the play-in and we're in the playoffs, and we still get a very relatively 5 to 12 draft pick, that's good too. In some ways, that I'm so many people are so into this weird mentality of the middle ground is the worst. You can either be really, really good and competing for a championship, or be absolutely bad so that you're at the top of the lottery. There is the ability to do things correctly in the middle, and you can do whatever you can in whatever position. That's why I trust in Masai and rely on him, because whatever position, whatever we're doing, whether it's losing our pick to San Antonio and picking Jacoby Walter with an Indiana pick in the first round this year, Jacoby Walter was going to be a top 10 player a little bit before, but because he fell in the draft and we picked him up and scooped him up at that point, he could end up being still that kind of level of talent. So we got to understand we're flexible and we're gaming the system to get the best for whatever situation we're in. And it doesn't matter. And we need to try and win so much. We need to try and continue to win no matter what. That's right. Trevor is here, the Commissioner Fun, Trevor J, at the game last night. Trevor, I think I heard you on the broadcast last night. There was one lone voice when the Raptors were winning earlier in the game. When they were shooting free throws, somebody kept yelling, "Let's go Raptors." And then the rest of the crowd would boo. I heard that. I heard that on the broadcast, and I thought of Trevor J and his friends being there and thinking that maybe it was one of them that was yelling, "Let's go Raptors," in the silence of the crypto arena when they were losing. And the Lakers fans were not that happy. There was a lone Raptor voice in the arena yelling, "Let's go Raptors," and then everybody booing them. So good. Was that you, Trevor? Seriously. Trevor's saying sometimes you need to step outside, get some fresh air, and remind yourself of who you are and who you want to be. That's what I was saying earlier. Get out there and get in touch with nature. And just, even if you live in the city, there's some sort of pocket of nature, whether it's a park. I know it may be chilly out there. Make sure you dress warmly. But just anything. You could have a house plant in your house and just get in touch with it. Maybe you have a pet. Then that pet will serve as a nature connection for you, and just kind of get in tune with it. That'll be so helpful. Trust me. It's something that has been big time since I've moved out here that has helped my mental health so much. Instead of being in a concrete jungle of Leslieville, downtown Toronto, now I am out in the forest. And the communion with forest is a daily ritual for me that I absolutely enjoy, and it centers and grounds me. is what I'm saying. That's right. Carlos saying Yak is so valuable. He really is. He really is. And here's to the health and well-being of Jakob forever. Cool Cat saying close up of Scotty, his eye is still red and swollen. That orbital eye injury is serious. Yes. Yes. In some ways, it's like he's got oh crap, I forgot about 1111. I apologize, guys. Well, I'm gonna do it right now, guys. All right, I'm a little late, but I'm gonna go ahead and do an honor to them and just have a moment of silence. I just realized it. I get going and I forget. Okay. I just wanted to say a little prayer silently in my head and also uh, think about gratitude towards the people that sacrificed their lives for the ability for us to live the life that we live here. And let's not get it twisted. These kind of times are still here. There's people fighting for their freedom in Ukraine. There's people fighting for their race, their people in Palestine. And well, there may be some very serious things coming up in our future because of certain things where people got to fight for their freedom still. And hopefully it doesn't have to be with arms. It can be with words and stopping people from doing unconstitutional things to the democracy of the United States. So, and either way, we honor the veterans that have passed and on this Remembrance Day. And I'm sorry I didn't do it right at 11:11. I get in the groove and then I see it and then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot. Ah, crap, I forgot. And but I did still catch up and do it right there. And it is something we very much appreciate. I have people in my family that were war veterans of World War II. And yeah, that's a big deal. It's something, they had to stop a certain person in Germany. And well, we might have to stop a certain person in the United States very soon. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. I was on Cool Cat and she was saying, hang on. No, 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 no. Yeah, that the stuff on Scotty, he's definitely hurt, and his face is looking a little different. It's gonna alter the way he looks. In some ways, he's had such a baby face. He got his teeth fixed, and then he got he's gonna have a change to his look. He's gonna look more mannish after this, probably. Hopefully, no plastic surgery or anything weird. But hopefully, Scotty just heals and he's healthy and he's able to play. Trevor's saying Raptors is a young team playing with the very best top teams. They're showing they can keep up, but just not know how to win yet. It's very good for these young guys who just got thrown into the fire. Not too many young players in the NBA get to play top teams like we did. Yeah, this is a bright side of things, and I agree with all this. Throw them in the deep end. Show them exactly how difficult the NBA can be. But look, there's real promise because they're not that far off from catching these games into a victory. And that's the thing that's very promising. And what Gerald said earlier, they're exceeding expectations. Honestly, I expected them to get blown out by 20 points on the regular in this part of the schedule, and they're not. There's a lot of games that have been decided with under 5 points, and that's a sign that, we are a little bit ahead. Stargate saying, I personally don't trust the league as far as I can throw them. I believe the league will let hell freeze over before they allow the Raptors to get a top 5 pick again, no matter how bad the record, in my opinion. So you're saying that you feel like the lottery would be rigged and we would not be able to get there. I don't know if that's true because in some ways that we had lottery luck when we got Scotty. We were not supposed to pick fourth that year. We were supposed to pick like seventh or something, and we jumped up 3 spots, and that made the world of difference to landing Barnes. So I don't know. I don't get conspiracy theory about the draft unless it's something like the frozen envelope and Patrick Ewing, or even the payback of Dan Gilbert because of LeBron leaving their team to go to Miami. There were a couple of first round picks that seemed to be funneled towards the Cleveland Cavaliers in the mid to 2010s. Of course, they wasted one on Anthony Bennett. And Kyrie Irving was the other one, I believe. So, but yeah, in some ways, that it's more of those kind of actions, and I think that they really do a good job with the draft lottery now being on the up and up. I mean, why would they just give the what they're not funneling things. Atlanta got the number one draft pick through very little odds, which was very interesting to me. I don't want to get jaded on this subject. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways they manipulate things, schedule making, referee decisions. But in the draft, I don't think this is actually something. I think that we will be allowed to get a top 5 pick. I don't think this is true. Cool Cat saying RJ and IQ are familiar with each other's games. So in tough spots, a two-man game, IQ needs time to adjust to the faster space with new players. He's been out forever, really. Even Scotty will need time. Yeah, there's always the time of kind of readapting to the speed and the pace and getting your feet under you and your rhythm. And, in some ways, we saw in the first game with IQ back against the Clippers in the first half, he really wasn't right, but he figured it out in the second half against the Clippers and started playing a lot more efficient with his legs under him in a rhythm. Now, I was shocked that he played in both games because normally when you come back from an injury, it's not good to play a guy 2 games in a row on a back to back, but he was ready for it and he felt good. And that could have been part of the factoring in too, is that like Emmanuel's been out since the first game of the season. He comes back on Saturday and then he immediately plays another game on Sunday. Well, he's definitely going to have some of the fatigue that we saw in the third quarter for the Raptors from there. Yeah, definitely going to have that. Mike saying Scotty changes the way RJ and quickly play. Instead of hero ball, they defer to Scotty and he keeps the offense moving. We have to build more chemistry with the new system and having the full barbecue. Yes. Yes. And most of the lineups that Darko puts out there have some sort of high level scorer, whether it's Grady or RJ or Emmanuel. But there was a lineup out there at one point where I was like, I'm not confident in this team being able to score or create shots for themselves in a high percentage way. And it was like Bruno Fernando, Chris Boucher, Oshai Abaji, Davion Mitchell, and Jamison Battle. In the second quarter, that lineup was out there for a little bit. And I'm like, I'm not having any confidence in this team to be able to create their offense correctly, partly because you need a couple of little bit spark plugs, whether it's Emmanuel, Grady, or RJ, or even Jakob being out there. He is a very good kind of centerpiece to play off of as a hub in the middle. And when those guys aren't out there, Fernando's out there instead, and it's not necessarily IQ, it's Davion or Shed. Yeah, and even Jameson's so green, he's not going to do the stuff like Grady to get the cuts and the openness to shoot. Yeah, that was a scary lineup, and that was maybe one rotation that I didn't agree with that Darko put out there at that point. In some ways, he needs to balance a player like RJ on the squad at all points, like whether it's Scotty when he comes back, IQ or Grady or RJ. One of those guys always has to be on the court, as far as in my opinion, because the defense, the offense will have trouble getting good shots without those kind of guys driving the offense. Is what I say right there. Yeah. Let's see. Cool Cat's saying you can see Boucher's experience on the floor compared to our youngins. His confidence and all out effort is a great example. Yes. Yes. And he's teaching those guys. In some ways, he's rubbing off on a young guy like Mobo already. And Mobo is looking very Boucher like in a lot of instances. And that's fantastic. And you also see the smartness of Boucher as far as like how he gets positioned for rebounds on offensive glass is very, very, very much a work in progress that he's done over the years. And some of that is talking to the refs and stuff. There was, you see him having little talks with people like Tony Brothers last night and going over what they see and stuff and having a relationship with them. Chris gets a lot of calls on rebounding calls for fouls, for positioning, because he's worked very hard at understanding what the refs look for when they're going to call the fouls on rebounding battles. And he's really savvy with this. As much as James Harden knows how to draw a foul off a jump shot, Chris Boucher knows how to draw a foul off of a positional rebounding battle with boxing out and getting the player to foul him. And that's just with the refs and understanding what they look for and listening to them. And he's done that. You saw him talking to Tony Brothers last night, even about some of the stuff that's going on the court and trying to understand it. Mike is saying Darko really wanted RJ and quickly to pass more last year as well. It's a process. RJ has really improved passing wise. I'm not worried. Yeah, these guys have it. But once again, you get a little tired. You start reverting to lazy habits. And hero ball, isolation ball is a lazy habit. Is like, okay, I'm not really going to try and find anybody. I'm just going to try and dribble a little slowly and kind of figure out my rhythm and then burst to try and get to my spot and get an open shot. And that's the problem right there, because it's very telegraphed. And the NBA understands this. If a guy's going to make a move, and well, they just have an interior defense that meets him at the other spot, even if he gets around his initial defender. So there's a lot of that going on in the second half last night. A lot of that was going on. Mischief's here. Good to see the bass man. If Barnes karate blocked Jokic, would be 500. If he had put up the arm like, ah, just like Danielson, yeah. I mean, he didn't see it coming. At least the long road trip storm is over. 10th place could be good enough for a number one pick. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you fall. Once again, the ping pong balls determines it, and that's why they don't want people to tank, because you can't just say I'm going to be the worst team in the league. I'm getting the number one pick. That's why they have the lottery right there. Yeah, this road trip is not over. They got to go and play in Milwaukee tomorrow, and it's an in-season tournament game. That's fishy as fuck right there. Think about this. These guys are been all and they're exhausted right now from the game last night. Well, they got to rest today like crazy, and they still don't go home. In some ways, that's better that they don't come home and play against Milwaukee and Toronto, because we know about how the first game back from a long West Coast road trip can be a letdown for the team when they get back to the arena. So, and that will be Friday's game against Detroit, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully they can win that even though and overcome that. And hopefully we can still win against Milwaukee tomorrow on the last game of this road trip, which is tiring, and also with time changes. So, man, in some ways that is dirty by the NBA schedule makers to make us play our first in-season tournament in the fifth game on a 5-game road trip. That's a little dirty, honestly. It's a little dirty right there. Let's see. Carlos saying excited to see Masked Scotty. Yeah, I want to see him sooner than later. That's for sure. Trevor's saying, why are we complaining about the Raptors not winning a road game? We got two top teams in the bottom with us who look even worse than us. I know. I mean, I'm not worried about gauging ourselves against Philly or Milwaukee, although I will tomorrow because we're playing them, and I'll have the preview tomorrow with the ref crew and everything. And hopefully it's a good ref crew, so we have a good chance to try and get a win, but they may be trying to script right because it's an in-season tournament game. That's the one thing about the in-season tournament, is that it's a very, very dangerous time for people to script right in the NBA for what they want, the narratives, because in some ways the narrative last year was LeBron's going to be the first in-season tournament winner and get the MVP. And in some ways I wouldn't put it past the NBA to manipulate things to help them get there, just to have LeBron get it before he retires. We'll have to see. In some ways the in-season tournament's a new innovation and it's interesting, but it also draws my suspicion up that there's more important games earlier in the season that may get ref manipulated or script wrote by the NBA in some ways. I could see that. We'll have to see. Stargate saying exactly at Trevor. Sixers and Bucks are just as bad or worse, but these hockey puck fake Raptor fans don't follow NBA basketball, so they don't even know these facts. Once again, casual's going casual. And we can't educate everybody. And some of them don't even want to listen to the truth anyway. They're just going to believe what they want to believe anyway in their narratives and stuff like that. That's fine. We'll be in the know. If we have friends that are talking out of pocket about the Raptors and we care about them, maybe we'll educate them. Maybe we'll say, hey, listen, why are you so upset? This year's going to be fine. Everything's going to work out in the end. So just chill out. Why are you so upset about our record right now? Just relax. Just relax. That's what we can do. You know, in some ways, we're training all of us to be Raptors freak therapists for other Raptors Nation people and educating them to be better about handling this season, even if it's confusing and there is a lot of losing. So that's the way I kind of look at it right there. Trevor's saying Yak manhandled tag team by himself of AD and LeBron. Me and my people, we were loving it. It's like, you got to be careful, Trevor. You're in the middle of that arena, and he's taking out their two best players. And Trevor is giggling probably and laughing and loving it, man. People knew you might have been side-eyeing you and be like, why is that guy laughing? Why is that guy so happy about this? He's like, that was a dirty hit. And Trevor's like rolling on the floor laughing. He's careful, Trevor. I know you have a very large son and you're not a small man yourself, but still, you don't want to antagonize the crowd in their arena like that, especially on those kind of plays. It's not a good look. We don't want to be cheering for injuries like they said we did about Kevin Durant in the finals. We don't want to be doing that. We don't want to be doing that. Dat Canadian is back in the chat. Love to see Dat Canadian back in the Raptor Freak channel. I'm not worried about it. We are in a win-win situation. We are developing our players and chemistry. If the record isn't the best, we get another piece to add to rebuild. Yeah, this is a great point. He's exactly right. And the difference between like a couple years ago with what Masai directed Nick Nurse to do is that Nick was not getting the development while the losing was happening. And that was the fail. That was part of the reason why he got fired from the Raptors as the coach, is because he had a job to develop Koloko and Banton, and he failed, and we still lost like crazy. So it's at least you got to check one of the boxes. We're going to lose and you're not developing the team. Well, you're fired, Nick Nurse. Well, Darko is definitely developing this team, and he's got them running such great systems. And there's a reason why Leo Routon says in the pregame show that Darko is an excellent coach. He's doing a really good job. Meanwhile, casuals only look at the win-loss and they see like the outcomes at the end of games, the ball not going through the hoop, and they're saying he's a failure. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not drawing up the right plays. You motherfuckers do not understand the NBA, honestly. And over time, it's going to get better and better, and those shots are going to fall, and they are going to be wins for the Raptors eventually. That Canadian, always good to see you when you return to the chat. I hope I see you more, man. Mike saying, DeMar even said the record doesn't indicate how good the Raptors compete at the moment. We can see the improvements. This is not just DeMar DeRozan saying this. And, of course, obviously, he has an affinity for the Raptors, even though we did them dirty. There's other people that have been saying this. Other coaches that have played us have said this in their press conferences pretty regularly. This Raptors record does not indicate exactly who they are and what they're doing. And that's a testament to like, okay, casuals, listen to the opponents saying, yeah, this team's better than their record. This team is better than their record. And that's the damn truth. Carlos saying it's because of William Liu. He whines at every chance he gets. It's like he doesn't understand where his team is right now. And that sucks because he's one of the top Raptors podcasts. So his reactions are a little whiny right now. Oh, William Liu. You know, he used to do this back in the day, but you know what? It was a different time in our franchise. You know, when I was listening to him do the reaction podcast on Raptors Republic, like I guess about 7 or 8 years ago at this point. You know, we were at the point where we were amping up and getting these stair steps up closer to winning the championship. And, you know, him talking about failures and breaking down like failures of Dwayne Casey and DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs, or Kyle Lowry not playing well and having their stats drop, that was valid. But right now, you can't have that kind of action about winning and losing right now, Will Lou. Listen to me, my guy, if you do actually listen to me. You can't do this right now. It's the state of affairs for our franchise currently that is just not worth it. In some ways, like Carlos saying, you're misleading our nation to being more overly critical than they need to be right now. And the thing is, like, look, that shot by RJ drops in Sacramento, we win. That shot that Jakob against the Clippers, we go to overtime. We still live to go and try and win the game in overtime. That's the thing. You guys got to allow for the chance of the NBA and the shot and basketball and just the nature of the game. The shots fall and they don't fall. And as much as Vince Carter's shot didn't fall against the Sixers in 2001 in that playoff series, the shot that Kawhi shot against Philadelphia did. So that's just the dual yin yang of the league, William Liu. And in some ways, our guys are not savvy or experienced enough to falling in and getting the win more often than the loss. And they will get there. Trust me, man. In some ways, I hate to hear that William Liu is doing that on his reaction pods. It was scurrying up the chicken littles and making everybody all consternated. And once again, maybe some of this is the ploy to get interaction, is people like to make people feel fearful or unhinged or unhappy, and they get engagement from that. Are you doing that? Are you negging the Raptors so that you get more views and listens, William Liu, in your post-game reactions? Is that what's going on? Because a lot of Raptors content managers do this kind of shit. That's not what I do here. No, it isn't. We'll explain about it in a humanitarian way, a fair way, a realistic way. Yeah, I'm not saying that Jakob's hit was not dirty. In some ways, it was dirty. See, that's how unbiased I am. But also, I'll say, let's keep it on the real as far as where the Raptors are. And the fact that you don't understand where the Raptors are with what they're doing right now, William Liu, is troubling. Is troubling, is what I'm going to say right now. That's right. Mike is saying first year Darko was trying to get everything set for him, organized-wise, and setting the offense was done in year one. In year two, he wants to set the defense and push the knowledge of winning nightly. Yeah. And in some ways, it's amazing what he accomplished last year, the year of the wedgie year, between the old and the new and the half of it. And the fact that he came out of the season with a better feeling around the locker room than when he started the season with. That's progress, even if the record looked bad and the team struggled the whole entire year. The fact that they struggled so bad last year and they had better feelings and more optimism about the future of the Raptors says a lot about the way Darko runs his team and what he's trying to build and create. There's a lot of people out there who want to destroy in this world right now, and the best people in this world want to create and build positive. And it's real easy to be negative and destroy and tear down things. Yeah, that doesn't take any talent. Doesn't take any talent at all. That's right. Smooth saying the Raptors are actually ahead of the curve. They're better than I thought they would be at a top 5 to 10 pick and 50 wins next year. I agree with this completely. I think Smooth's exactly right. And they are ahead of the curve, even though the win-loss record does not show it. Mike's saying, Darko keeps saying you can't skip steps. It seems like it's a process to refine everything, but we can see how the offense runs, and that's what Darko's focused on last year. We're moving forward. I think that these guys have done a really good job. Some games are going to have higher turnovers, but a lot of the games, for being such a young unit, they've done a really good job controlling keeping the ball safe and protecting it. Because a young team like this normally is characterized by like 20 turnovers every game. And we're not doing that. Last night we had a lot of turnovers, but in some ways that was a problem. But that's not the most of these games that we played so far this year. We've done a very good job taking care of the ball, which is a sign that we are ahead right there. Like this, usually that's a huge Achilles heel for them, is turnovers with a lot of rookies playing. A lot of that, yeah. Mike's saying Leo getting a 0. Damn, laugh out loud on ethics. I mean, I don't know. They've been really cheeky with him lately, like talking about how he's a oldie but goodie, and there's all kinds of crazy flirting between Leo Routens and his female co-hosts that he works with on TSN. Whether it's Kate or Nikki or Kia or Sam, even being there, there's some sauciness sometimes. And they really play off of Leo's love life and talking about him and his love life. They do talk about it at times, and you like to make light of it. I don't know. It's fun banter. I'm getting into I've always liked TSN more than the Sportsnet crew overall. As far as I hate Brad Fay, and I'll take Kate Burness over him any day. Nikki Reyes is annoying. In some ways, she's kind of glazing the Lakers too much last night. And she's kind of like, you can tell she's not, I don't know. There's something about Nikki Reyes that isn't exactly right about covering the Raptors. Let's just put it that way. Kia Nurse is awesome. Sam Mitchell has his days where he entertains me, but he also pisses me off. Leo's just the man. And that's how I look at it right there. That's right. That's right. Mike's saying, not gonna lie, bet companies are putting a lot of money in advertising during games and supporting TV shows and social media channels. That's ultimately growing the game by putting more capital behind the content. Gambling is a bad habit, though. I don't know if it seems like a trade-off deal. Well, I mean, this is the thing. In some ways, it's morally not right, is what it is. In some ways, it's morally not right because you're going to introduce young people into very addictive behavior at a younger age, and it's more normalized and it's okay. In some ways, it's not right. And the other aspect of it is the relationship with the players and the people that bet is just going to be ugly and stupid. I really think that the one, like, if I will accept that there's going to be gambling around the NBA, but I want it to be at a certain level, and there should be a middle ground. And that should be, first of all, them getting rid of props where the player has unders on what they're going to do, which Jonte was taking advantage of. That's good. That just makes total sense. Why would you have prop bets on players not meeting goals when they can manipulate them themselves like Jonte did? So that's a good first start. But I would say that they need to go even further and just ban individual betting on teams, like on individuals right outright. Bet on the profit on the point margin. Bet on who's going to win. Bet on the collective score. Bet on team stats against each other, but not on individual stats, on individual players. The prop betting on individual players is going to cause something stupid to happen down the road with some dumbass fan doing something out of pocket that was absolutely a tragedy and horrible. And that it'll be totally the fault of the prop betting for individual players. That's a lot of what the crap that they're dealing with right now. In some ways, the NBA is so much different than the NBA of 30 years ago. There was no social media and there was no gambling. And there's a way more new pressures on today's NBA players that wasn't there before. And the gambling is in some ways one of those unnecessary things that they absolutely probably hate. Honestly, Because you hear it in Kevin Durant talking to people. It's like, you degenerate gamblers. I don't care if you got your prop bet or not. And I maybe didn't do it on purpose just to spite you. And fuck all y'all. You lost money, you gambling degenerates. That's what he's saying on Twitter to people. And I'm with him. And the way Kevin feels about it is probably very common across the league. That, we already hear all the bullshit on Twitter and other social media spaces about criticizing us on every little thing. Now you're going to put money behind it. And now these motherfucking people are going to feel like they have more ownership to be able to talk shit about us because they put some of their own damn money on us on this. No, this is bullshit. And I can see people like Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, Kevin Durant speaking out against this kind of bullshit, that they don't care. You're going to fucking make bets on me? Don't come at me and tell me I fucked you up when you lost $1,000 because you were a dumbass and put that money on me. That's what I'll say right there. Yeah, Trevor's saying Chet Holmgren suffered a right hip fracture and will return 8 to 10 weeks. This is what I heard. He had a really good health year last year. 82 games, didn't miss a single game last year after missing his whole entire rookie season. And, well, it looks like he's going to be out for a long period of time now. This isn't good for Oklahoma City in the very competitive West. And we'll have to see how long the timetable is and when he can come back and be back. But, yeah, this isn't a good injury. This is similar to Emmanuel's injury, but he's actually fractured the bone. That's no good. That is no good. Hip fracture? Ooh, that's no good. Pelvic fracture is not good. And I hate to say it, but that man should have been at whatchamacallit, Mandarin in the buffet, buffering up, bulking up. Because in some ways, I told y'all, in some ways, I don't trust Chet Holmgren to stay healthy in this league because of his frame and the way his body is. And I don't want to do told you so on this kind of sad news and stuff like that. But this is what I've said about him all along. Kareem's saying only 2 out of the 15 in the Eastern Conference are above 500. What a shit show it's been. At least we have lowered expectations. Other teams' fan bases are in complete meltdown. We developing and they are straight up losing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have an excuse. What's y'all's excuse, Philadelphia? Embiid's been out. Well, you've had Maxey. You've had George now. What is it, Nick? You can make magic out of whatever, right, Nick? Nest man up. Come on now. Yabusele, Lowry, come on, man, make it happen. Milwaukee. Okay, yeah, it wasn't Adrian Griffin's fault, was it? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. What are y'all's excuses? Are in dumpster fires right now. They're in dumpster fires. They're so crazy right now. Trevor's saying Zach Edey blocked Delano at the rim, and Delano was mad. Referees and coaches had to separate them. Yeah, that was interesting. Little Toronto on Toronto beef. Kareem saying at Trevor, Delano was being super petty. I'm glad Zach blocked his layup. Delano was on one yesterday. That blowout is humiliating. And in some ways, there may have been some shit talking. And, Delano is standing for the Blazers, and they got their ass kicked by the Grizzlies. And I'll really say that maybe Zach was kind of like talking trash a little bit. And because he's so fresh in the NBA, Delano may have taken a little bit of a problem with it. So I could see that. Not going to say Bron still plays with a pretty high basketball IQ. Of course. Well, the body may deteriorate and age and not be as spry and as athletic as it was in its early 30s. But the mind, it learns all this. And you become more and more savvy as you get older. Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, Mike Conley, LeBron James. These are guys that their knowledge doesn't go away. They just accumulate it more and more as the years go on. And, well, we saw some of that very, very, very long knowledge of LeBron James, who's been playing since the mid-2000s, guys. That's crazy to me in some ways. That was so long ago. Seriously, this guy's been around forever. Andrew saying, I hope Bruce is good for us this year. We'll have to see. I'd like him to be like a little bit of a pesky defender like our guards so far and hit some very crucial key threes. And it doesn't hurt to have a guy who has experience and knowledge in the game and can do some of this veteran stuff and decision-making that can help our young team that's so green. And that's what I think that we'll get from Bruce, honestly, is hopefully good team defender and making some very crucial threes and not making a whole lot of mistakes. Monique saying, I'm still going to be in the arena regardless of what people say. There you go, Mo. She's a real one. She got to go down there and get to the games and support her team no matter what. And she knows the truth between the winning and the losing this year and the development and what is exactly going on. Why don't you know, William Lou? Come on now. Trevor's saying we can't still catch up. We can still catch up. The Eastern Conference is weak. Lots of teams struggling. Exactly. And it's way too early in the season. Sure, we haven't got off to the right start, but that was designed by the NBA schedule makers. Let's just put it that way. And you add injuries to key players, two-thirds of our barbecue out. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough for the Raptors to win when a huge chunk of their salary cap is sitting on the bench in street clothes. Kareem saying, Nako, you don't lose your IQ of the game. You lose the physical aspect, hence why we got great coaches around the league. Yeah, that just makes sense, of course. Nako saying the footage I'm seeing, Delano looks like he's instigating it. Edie's block looks clean. What it is, it's a sportsmanship thing. It's kind of like running up the score. In football, you're up by 40, and you go and make a extra long pass and Hail Mary, and then you just add on more. It's not it's frowned upon. There's different things you can do. You can run up the score in different places or do stuff that shows up the other team when they're already taking an L, and the frustration manifests itself in instigating something like that. So he got blocked. His team also got routed, and he is frustrated. That's what's going on right there. That's what it is right there. That's what it is right there. Nako saying, that being said, Edie is definitely instigating the shit with Jonas. Yeah, that was Jonas hit him dirty, and he was just like, I don't want to take that hit to the face like what you did, and he hit him with his shoulder and stared him down. That's just him trying to get respect in the league with Valanciunas. In some ways, it's kind of interesting because I'm sure Zach Edey was a fan of Jonas Valanciunas when he's on the Raptors as a kid. He probably watched him. So now it's like, hey, I'm playing against him. And in some ways, that arm hurt. And we've seen what happened with Scott, with Joker, that this could be a similar kind of thing with Jonas hitting back into Zach Edey is a very similar play. Very similar play. Very, very, very similar play. Let's see. Let's see. Carlos saying we have to be wary of some of the Raptors pundits, namely Will Liu, building a narrative against Darko, criticizing his game management of the close games. Yes, because it's not useful. It's more destructive than any kind of usefulness or any kind of that kind of content's not useful. Will Liu, if you care about the Raptors being successful and covering a team that's more fun with winning, you won't do this action. Because all you're going to do is feed the fire to people that are stupid and anti-Darko. Darko's doing a really good job. Will Liu, you need to tell the whole picture. And in some ways, I'm glad that Leo Routens and Jack Armstrong have a bigger audience than Will Liu because they're actually on the TV show of the games. And they're saying the exact opposite of what William Liu's saying. They're saying that he's doing a fantastic job. And that's who people should be listening to is Leo Routens and Jack Armstrong and myself. And not necessarily William Liu when he's coming to criticizing late game decisions by Darko. It's real easy for you to say that, William Liu. I've seen the level of basketball you play at, and you don't understand how high stakes, high pressure, and confusing it is, especially for people who have not done this before, that are new and green, like our rookies and a lot of our younger players. So just shut the fuck up, Will Liu. It's sad to hear that you are being so critical and not understanding what the fuck is going on right now. Seriously, can you chill out? Chill out, man. Let's see. Trevor's saying, Lex, you don't like your studio. You have not been in it a bit. I know I did one show in the studio, but you know what it is, Trevor? It got cold. And my studio doesn't have heating. It has a little mini heater. And so I stay in the main house. And I'm doing it in here right now because of, it's winter. And that may be the case. The studio, I could go back out there. Like if up with the mini heater out there. It'd be nice to be out there, but I'm being lazy. I'm getting up at like 9. I'm sleeping in here because there's a heating in this house. But out there, somebody's asking me why I was wearing my jacket in the comments the other day, and I'm like, well, it is freezing out here, and I'm not in Toronto anymore, and it's colder out here in the woods because there's not as much concrete and human bodies, and the city just has a higher temperature than north of the city near Lake Simcoe, which is where I'm at. And it's colder out here. So if I wear my jacket, in some ways I enjoy wearing it. I've worn it in the summertime, so it's not even a really big deal. But that's the main reason why, Trevor, is because my studio's in its own building on the property and it's cold out there. And I haven't been out there like at all, really. I've been kind of just letting it be and been staying in here. So that's why I could go out there and do one out there just for fun one day so you guys can see it again. But that's very astute of you noticing that, Trevor. That's right. That is true. We've only done one show in the new studio. and I should kind of go out there. I should put the We the North flag on the wall behind me next to that picture, and then it'll look a little bit more like a studio in here too. It's purely for heating reasons why I've been in here. It's like I've also been outside though recently because it was 20 degrees and that was nice. Cool Cat saying LeBron spends 1 million on his body program is amazing. He is playing at a high level for his age. Yeah, it's a testament to the sports science and where we're at with athletes at this point. I'm sure Kareem or any of those guys from before that played into their 40s would have loved to have the same resources that LeBron James has currently right now for himself. That's right. Mike's saying Braun doesn't do practices and barely plays defense. It hurts their coach's ability to get things set up. I don't know. He picks and chooses when he plays. And meanwhile, JJ Redick is complimenting him as the only guy who's out there busting his ass out of all the Lakers in the last week. I know. Angry Hoops fan. I'm on his tip with a lot of the things he says about LeBron and what Mike's saying here also. He's exactly right. Gerald saying at Cool Cat, he talked about it on Starting Five, and he said that he's not going to disclose the actual number, probably because there's people on his payroll for fitness. Yeah, I can see that. King of the North. King of the North. All right. Kareem saying, I really wanted Battle to have a huge breakout game during the West Coast swing. Looks like he's just going to drop 50 when he joins the 905. It's all baby steps. In some ways, we've got great success out of Battle already, but we have to temper our expectations. And we got to understand that success isn't just a diagonal line that goes straight up, rocketing up. In some ways, it's a little bit up and down. It's like, as they say, it's not linear. And we got to just allow for that. And he's going to have his opportunities on the 905. And hey, I want to see a 30-point game on the 905 for Jamison Battle. That's what I want to see. Cool Cat saying Raptors might be able to beat the Pacers. They only have 4 core players, and the rest is the third string bench players. So they are having injury problems also. Nice to see Siakam get the win against the Knicks this weekend. Let's do the Instagram stories real quick since you brought it up, Cool Cat. And I am in my third hour of content right now. You've got Jamal Shed coming into the game in LA in that famous hallway. Jamal, why do you shrink it so small? I want to see the big picture. There you go. There's Slim Duck. And the fire is behind him on the court and the pregame stuff. Slim Duck has been fantastic on this road trip, a real bright spot for the Raptors all around. There's Zach Edey, and he's making a little face, probably maybe a little bit of trolling towards Delano after the game, and he's putting up that big score. Yeah, they beat them 134-89, Memphis over Portland. Yeah, you want to know why Delano was pissed? Because in some ways he felt like they were showing him up right at the end of the game. And in some ways, the block may not have been necessary. And he's just really frustrated. I bet you that's what it is. I bet you that's what it is exactly. Jamal McGlure out with the Raptors fans, wherever he's at. I'm not even sure where he is right now, but he's out with the Raptors fans. There's Davion Mitchell coming in the game at the LA game last night at Crypto. And there he is putting up shots in the pregame warm-up. Let's see. Dylan Disu is on an escalator at Hartsfield Airport. I know those escalators very well. So it's true that the 905 actually do fly, and they're not traveling from bus from Delaware to Atlanta, but they're at Hartsfield as of 20 hours ago. He's on that escalator in Atlanta, Georgia. So yes, the Raptors 905 are playing tonight against College Park Skyhawks. I'll see y'all in the chat, and we'll see if we see any other content makers around there tonight. We'll have to see. Siakam has so many Instagram stories. I don't know if I'll skip over some of them. He's coming in the game. He's smiling. He's happy. He's coming in the game. He's going to play against his old friend OG Anunoby on the Knicks and see what happened. There's the shoot around, is doing all that stuff. There's Jerace Walker. He's got some action shots of different people around the team. He's saying after the game, good stuff, beating the Knicks, especially from people like Ben Mathurin. I was really happy with him. And yeah, there's some cool highlights. There's a picture of him with Anunoby on the court. Anunoby wearing the 8 for New York. And it's very cool to kind of see OG and Pascal in different jerseys. Is weird. But yeah, those bonds are always going to be there. They're always going to be there. And yeah, he's very happy to beat the Knicks because they had lost the Hornets recently. And also they had lost the Knicks before when they played them before. And they needed to get some get back against them. So Pascal is definitely keeping score on that. Miles Burns is saying happy birthday to his sister. It's his little sister. So he's got a cute picture of her as a little baby. And he looks younger and his hair looks all crazy. And his sisters are fixing his hair. It's kind of funny stuff. Kind of funny. There she is all grown up. Love you, baby girl. There you go. There's Kyle Lowry wearing a big hat, Philadelphia Eagles hat. So he's showing his representation for his NFL team. The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, is his team. Norman Powell getting all patriotic at the game with the American flag behind him. Manuel quickly saying this morning: "For nothing will be impossible with God." Luke 1:37 is the passage that he wants to put on blast today. DJ Carton showing the jubilation of the game-winning shot by Tyreek Key this weekend against the Delaware Bluecoats for the Raptors 905. Very, very cool seeing that. And then we got Scotty. Scotty was on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills yesterday afternoon, and he took a picture of the street view of he's probably down there shopping around, looking for some new clothes, new fits for when he gets out there and comes to the games. Right now, sitting on the bench. So there you go. There's your Raptor Freak Instagram check-in with the Instagram stories. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. Let's see. Mike saying, Carlo, yeah, Will Lewis talked about it. He said he's trying to figure out if Darko is capable of being the winning time coach. He said Darko is perfect for development, but he's monitoring things. Well, this is where I'll separate my knowledge of basketball being over Will Lewis right now. Because honestly, Will Lou doesn't have decades of watching the NBA like I do. He may have a couple, maybe two, but I have four. And this is what I'm going to say to him right now. It maybe this is a microwave culture that we live in with Tinder and DoorDash and Voila and Amazon. You can get everything delivered to your door, but this is not the way the NBA has ever worked, William Lou. And I can tell you right now, I can separate the stuff like I was talking about earlier between what is a building block towards winning and what isn't, with the question that we had earlier about worries about building a losing culture. Darko's doing everything completely right now, and it may not be adding up to wins. And I wish you were more intelligent on this, William Lou, and to understand that some of it is just the ball not falling through the hoop, and some of it is that we're just overmatched by experience and talent on the other side of the court. And all signs are pointing to good things are happening, Will Lou. And I wish that you have no ability to forecast into the future about the potential of what we're seeing right now. And that is your short-sightedness, literally, William Lou, is what I'm going to say right there. Yeah, and y'all can clip me and send this to clip to him right now. Please do it if you want to. Send it to him and we'll tell him what's up. That's right. I'm sorry I didn't catch the 11:11 right on time, but wow, I'm way behind. I'm an hour behind on the comments. We did do our observance. Mike's saying the Lakers fans don't realize the way they react to players and smear their name is the reason why no one wants to come to their team. Clay didn't want to be the next Janie Green. This is so true. The toxicness of Laker Nation has been hindering them partly in this whole thing. The confusion of the front office and Rob Pelinka and the dumb things he does, the over scrutinizing of that team is a problem. It's the same thing with the Knicks. And in some ways, some of the Raptors Nation is mirroring this kind of action with us. That's why I'm telling them to shut the fuck up. The less that we're like Laker Nation or Knicks Nation, the better, because we'll allow for the cultivation of good things over time without being short-sighted, once again, William Lou, and throwing good things out before they're actually going to mature into the absolute best things. You can go ahead and keep ripping up the rough draft of what you're trying to write, but you ain't never going to write that novel if you keep ripping up your first draft every single time you get to a certain point. This is no good. Throw it out. Okay, start all over again. That's a coach's carousel. That's a giving up on players before they actually get to it. That's the lesson of Abaji right now. There's wisdom is gained through experience and time on this earth. And there's a lot of youngsters that have not got any wisdom. And I'm sorry to say William Lou is not showing very much wisdom right now. That's what I'm saying right there, right there, right there. That's right. That is right. Nako's saying, I'm not opposed to cutting Bruno for Brandon. Nako, that's not noise that's necessary or useful because we've already made our decision. You want to jerk people around? It's kind of like calling up your girlfriend, Gerald, and saying, yeah, I'm going to take you out on Friday. I'm going to take you down to the lake and we're going to go for a drive. And then you call her up and the next day say, nah, we're not going now. I have to go to work. You're jerking her around. You want to jerk around Brendan Carlson? You want to jerk around Bruno Fernando? No. They made their decision, and I am perfectly happy with it. Brendan Carlson's not ready for the NBA. We see more of his development on the 905 with bulking his body up and showing that he can hold ground around the basket. Then maybe we can do that. Because if he was in there instead of Bruno Fernando last night, he'd get pushed around like a rag doll by Anthony Davis. So let's not get this twisted. Seriously, you can't jerk people around like that, Gerald. Oh, I want to switch it now. Oh, we changed our mind. We don't want Bruno. We want Brendan. Fuck that shit, Gerald. Don't do that to people. Don't jerk people around. That's what I'm saying right there. Neil's saying we don't have to cut Bruno for deadline and see if we can make some trades. We can get Brendan by the end of the season. Yeah. This is a thing all due time. We're not going to gut react and do this kind of shit. We've seen Bruno Fernando contribute to our team very valuably in the last 2 games. And that's what I'm saying right here. And Neil's exactly right. The developments of this season, like last year, all these 905 guys popped up and got their debuts on Raptors. JFL, Mohamed Gay, we were bringing everybody up. Justice Winslow got called up at a certain point. So, I mean, if this year's going to be like this, there's a very high chance that Brendan Carlson's going to get his chance to come and play on the regular Raptors at some point, but it may not be till March. How about that? And it may be that's the right decision because he needs that 905 to do what he's doing. You guys get like personal attachments to some players. You're like, oh, I just want him to do it because I just like him. I just like Brendan Carlson. I just like him. That's not a fucking way to run your team just because you like him. You got to understand we're assessing these players and their talent and where they're at and what makes sense. And when we make our personnel decisions, we make them with the best educated decisions is what I'm saying right now. Yeah, and Neil's exactly right. The opportunities will come for him by the end of the year. Watch. Kareem saying Bruce Brown and Ari Shamshe build their own farm and harvest crops. Obviously, Jamal Shed should invest in creating sheds. Okay, this is really a weird comment, but I love it. And we're going to give him a dunk. And this is why he leads the Raptor Freaks in dunks, because this man is just on point with this. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I think that if Jamal Shed started his own shed company, it could be very lucrative. Maybe you should be an entrepreneur and go give him the Dragon's Den spiel or Shark Tank spiel. Kareem Thomas, just say, hey, Jamal, I know you don't know me, but I just think that there's an opportunity here. I know about sheds, high quality sheds, and you could be selling sheds, man, because your name is Shed. It just totally makes sense. 45, 450. On the day that Delano Banton got into it with Zach Edey, there you are, 450 dunks for the dunk champion. Yeah, that's silly. That's silly as hell is what you just said. Nago saying, get off your ass, touch some grass, let your problems pass. I like that. That's right. Puff, puff, pass. How about that, Gerald? Puff, puff, pass, Gerald. Get off your ass and let your problems pass. Puff, puff, pass. That's what I say right there. Mike's saying, and Scotty builds barns. Laugh out loud. Yeah, maybe Scotty could build some barns. It's like he's in a trade school. He's teaching people to go get a trade, and maybe the carpenters could come from his trade school. He's like, yeah, we use our own carpenters from the Scotty Barnes Trade School, and they will build you a Scotty Barnes barn. That's right. We'll come and build you your barn. These are certified barn burners, builders, barn burners, whatever. Yeah, they will come and build your barn, and it's like a Build-A-Bear kind of company. They'll get little extra add-ons and stuff like that. Oh, your Build-A-Bear is so neat. Put a little bow on our barn. It's a Build-A-Barn. Scotty Barnes, Build-A-Barns. I think that's a money winner, Mark Cuban. We better get Robert Herjavec on the phone right now. That sounds like a money winner right there. Build-A-Barns with Scotty Barnes, just like Build-A-Bear, except it's barns. That's awesome. That's so cute. I'll bet you there'll be some pink barns because it's Build-A-Barns, like Build-A-Bear. Man, I'm going in a weird tangent. Y'all put me in a weird place right now. Kareem saying at Logical, I don't know how I missed that. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. You guys are really entrepreneurial spirits. I can tell. Neil saying, FYI, I'm totally with Yak in the AD and LeBron mix-up. Yak has to fight for rebounds, offense, and position. We get hurt when other players play hard, so I feel no way that way when we get into it too. I'm with you too on this, Neil. In some ways, this is a game. This is a men's sport. It's also a women's sport, and they do this too on their side too. But I'm just saying that there's going to be some physicality, and it goes both ways. And we've been taking our licks. Well, unfortunately, there were some unfortunate licks that came out the other way towards the other side last night. And that's just the nature of the NBA. It's just how it goes. That's right. Somebody get me a tissue for Fakers fans. That's right. Get a sad tissue fan for those poor Laker fans so sad about the taking a hit to the face and stuff like that. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, in some ways, I kind of feel for Anthony Davis because of the history of how much he's missed time because of injuries and the stigma he gets from people saying he can't stay healthy. And that's a big problem for the Lakers. In some ways, this is not his fault, obviously. And if he does miss some games for this, well, we got to tell. And it's because he got hit in the face by Jakob Poeltl. That's right. Nako saying, I feel bad for the injuries Chet has to deal with. I don't have any sympathy for him. I'm sorry. Kareem saying, every time AD gets hurt, he's admitted to intensive care unit. He's soft. Oh, man, that's funny. But in some ways, we shouldn't be making this joke. I'm gonna get a bunch of bronze sexuals getting after me if you do this kind of stuff right now, Kareem. I have to say the truth is what I think is in some ways it wasn't necessary for Jakob to hit him in the face like that, but it happened, and I got to stand with my side. But at the same time, I won't say necessarily that that was completely a clean play. So Nation may come and see me and they'll listen to me like, see, he's saying it wasn't clean. He said it was dirty. Raptor Streak is admitting it. Well, I mean, I'm looking at it and they're kind of right. They're kind of right. He didn't need to have to put his claw on his face like that, there's a little bit of that going on right there. Yeah, let's see. Blackhawks saying it's better to fail now and address your issues than go on run. Yeah, we don't want to have a false feeling of like, oh, this is what it takes to win, and it's half-assed, and we're just lucky. It's much better to play our asses off, almost win, and learn the tough lessons now because that will harden us for later in these situations to deal with them better. I think that's exactly right. Mike's saying you're going to compete to win. That's the thing. Once that mission, players develop bad habits, and it's there forever, pretty much. That's right. You don't want to build a culture like the Sixers did during their tanking. It's really, really stupid, and they're still paying for it with the echoing of it to this point. In some ways, that's part of the reason why they've never gotten to the places they needed to with Joel Embiid on their team. Neil's saying, I see a whole lot of competing, but deficiencies are deficiencies. We're exposed in a lot of areas, and Darko is addressing each one, including his own. That's right. He's not a perfect coach. He's a work in progress, but at least see progress in the things that he's changing. And that's the other thing. You don't want such an egotist that they don't think anything they do is wrong. And Darko is very much critical of himself on his own, and he's adjusting and changing in those kind of ways. Some people are saying, I don't know if he's a winning coach when we are going to win. I think that y'all are going to be very shocked that you're going to find out that not only is he a very good development coach, he's a good coach at orchestrating wins towards winning when we are a winning team also. I think he's both. And people are going to find that out in the long run, that it's not that he has to be just a development coach in this time for us. He will be a coach that can adapt and be that kind of coach for us when we are winning at a higher clip too. Watch. I'm willing to put my credibility on this, and people will find this out. If we get to the point where we are actually a winning team, boom, then we will see this, and I'll show everybody. I was saying, look, see, Darko knows how to coach in close games and get us the win. He needed his whole team healthy, and also his young people needed to learn how to do it better by failing first, and that's a big part of it right there. That's a big part of it right there. Mike's saying building winning habits and natural body development and skill development and IQ development is the way, in my opinion. Trying to compete to win is how you shape the guys before their body and mind are ready. Yeah, there's learning lessons. This is so valuable. These close games that they've lost have been so valuable. Trust me, they really have. Neil's saying we don't need a top pick. It's just nice to get one. We got our first championship without a top 10 pick. There are many roads to championships. We just blessed to have Scotty and RJ that they are top picks. And it could very well be we're going to have 3 top 5 picks by next summer. And that will be very interesting to see who it is and what happens. All right, Monique's got my cutoff. I appreciate it. I know I'm way over my time. I'm almost at 3 hours, and in some ways we need to get finished up here. W Stream, W Vibes, go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Raptor Freak Crew strong forever. You got me my cutoff right at 2 hours. You should have cut me off at 11. It's all good. I love you, Mo. It's good. Good stuff. Better days ahead despite the outcome. Go 905. That's right. Let's watch that 905 game tonight. It's going to be fun. I hope to see a lot of y'all in the chat on YouTube, and we'll hang out and watch it together. And we'll see if anybody else is in there, like Coach Roach or Blake Murphy. That would be cool to see those guys. Kareem saying, who would win a 20-kilometer race, a T1000 or Forrest Gump? I don't know why I'm like this, but it crossed my mind, and now I need to know. All right, on my educated opinion on this, because I was a little bit of a track and field star when I was younger. I was the fastest kid in my grade one year, and then I had to go up against this guy named Mario, and he was just a little bit faster than me, and I became the second fastest kid. I would say this: the way Forrest Gump ran across the nation with his tirelessness against the T1000, you're talking about 20 kilometers. That's pretty far. I don't know. Could the race go by somewhere where the Terminator sees John Connor and he gets a little detoured and he has to go off and do his prime directive to eliminate John Connor or Sarah Connor? Are you Sarah Connor? I don't know. That could be it right there. that Forrest Gump stays eyes on the prize and just runs his crazy ass right to the end because the Terminator got distracted and he got back on his prime directive to go find the Connors. I think that's what happens there, right there. Yeah, Mike's saying the plan is repeatable. Pick good mindset guys that will develop into a real two-way players. You will hit on certain guys that exceed expectations, and then you'll fill the holes by trading finished guys. Yeah, there's a certain balancing. Like all the young guys that we have, they may not have a future in the Raptors long term, but people get cut, people get traded, and then as you get closer to striking for a Larry O'Brien, you start bringing in more talent acquisitions like a Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka kind of stuff that we did to lead up to our first championship. So that's the actions you'll see, and you'll see it from the front office when they start making any kind of moves that go in kind of more of a veteran direction. That's the signal that they want to amp it up and go for competing at a higher level and trying to bring the second Larry O'Brien home to Toronto. Just so y'all know. Just so y'all know right there. Trevor J is saying, Lex, I have three boys. My youngest is 7'2", and the next two are 6'8" and 6'5". My boys, I love them. Of course you should. That's amazing. 7'2", 6'8", and 6'5". You need to have a basketball team, Trevor. Oh my gosh. Kareem's saying, Trevor, you feed your kids trees? Damn, man. What's your secret? I need to get on that plan. That's funny. I already gave you a bunch of dunks today. I can't keep giving you dunks right now. Fiercely saying, we got this, fam. Much better and brighter days ahead. It's part of the learning curve. That's right. That is right. Fiercely Salsera, you're going to hopefully be the Moticon giant very soon. And it'll be making sense. I was thinking about it. It's like if Fiercely's in charge of the Moticon soon, it's really like she's going to be providing the eye candy. Ha, ha, ha. There you go. There will be eye candy on the channel. I still need to talk to you about it. We just weren't online at the same times yesterday for me to really suss it out and figure it out with you, MJ. We're gonna figure it out. Mo's saying strong cutoff. Lex is over 2 hours. Thank you, Mo. And Kareem, thank you for the sharp objects. Yes. Nako's saying that's something cozy about your setup like this. There's something cozy. Yeah, this is art by I don't know if my grandfather did that art piece, but this is cottage decor. This is like the walls that everybody say, if you grew up with these kind of walls, you know something more than other people. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah. All right. Trevor's saying classic card. I do definitely need to do this, and we need to get going after that probably. So let's see. All right. There's the classic card. Oh, this one? Okay. I'm not putting them back. I'm just grabbing whatever the first one I get is. All right. That's 1202 on there. Okay, good. I can see the end of the chat there. All right. Who is this, guys? Oh, that's too easy. I put that up right there. The first and last name, please, guys. Matt E is here. You going to grab this one, Matt? Let's see who can grab this classic card right this second. It's not very classic. It was from a couple years ago, and yeah, this guy has been kind of around the block lately. All right, Kareem's going to get it. It's 100 points for Malcolm Brogdon card. That's you can really see him. Look, his eyes look weird in that one picture. It's like, he's like, this is him realizing he's getting traded away from winning teams, and he's just going to be passed around on teams like the Wizards now at this point. Oh, what did I do with my life? Indiana said traded me to Boston, but then Boston got rid of me and sent me to Portland. And then Portland got rid of me, and now I'm in Washington. Oh, what did I do with my life? That's the picture. That's what it looks like on his face there. Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon, classic card of the day. Not so classic, but we'll go ahead and put that in. Is David here? He's going to write it in? No, he's not. He's not here. So I'll do it real quick. Brogdon. And it's going to be Kareem Thomas getting the classic card today for just 100. That's too easy, man. That's too easy. In some ways, that's an easy card. All right, let's see. Derps is here. Raps have the worst media in the NBA. No surprise. It's Scooter and Bam. Scooter and Bam. Yeah, you know what? Our media is somewhat. You know what I've noticed? We're cutting back on doing things for the media. There's been a lot of like not sending our people to like do the preseason. Like Matt and Jack did all the preseason in Toronto away from the away games, which was weird. And then the cutting of Raptors Tonight has been alarming to me that we're not getting our post game show anymore from Randy Urban. We lost Hustle Play podcast with Chris Boucher and all the Yahoo content when Yahoo changed Yahoo Canada doing anything. We're shrinking our media right now, and I'm a little disappointed and scared about it because less Raptors content is not necessarily good, especially if it's mainstream official content. Sure, there's always going to be unofficial content like mine and other creators, But the fact that we're shrinking our content, and even like there's been a couple games where we haven't gotten post game interviews, and it's been annoying. Like last night, the post game interviews came out after 2 a.m. And that, I mean, that's normal. It's a late game, but there was a game on this road trip where we didn't get any post game interviews. So I don't know if there's some sort of like budget crunching that the TSN and Bell and Sportsnet and Rogers are doing right now with their budgets, because we see the shrinking of the Raptors content right now. We do. I feel it. I feel it. I do. Matt East saying tough loss yesterday. Looking to go back home. We got to go to Milwaukee first and play our first in-season tournament game tomorrow. I have the preview tomorrow with the ref crew and all the latest lineup news. We'll see where Giannis's head is by that time, and we'll talk about it. Matt saying, do you think Darko could be the coach before the coach we need to win? You know what? A lot of people are trying to push this narrative, but I don't think that's fair, because honestly, we have not gotten to test him on this. And in some ways, look, we could look at Casey, right? Casey was the very much the guy who started us developing into what we did with the Pound the Rock in the early 2010s when he became our coach. He had a nice long career with us for 7 years. And he went through the development years of losing, and he got it out of the mud. And then he was very successful in the playoffs and getting us as high as the Eastern Conference Finals. It's just he never found success there. And we saw some of the limits of him hitting his head on the ceiling. Well, we need to allow Darko the ability to grow as a coach and get to the new levels with our team, just like Coach Dwayne Casey. And that's why this is way too premature. The people that are just saying that he's just a development coach and not a winning coach for when the team is winning, we don't know that. And in some ways, the signs for me are that he is both, and that we might not need to switch the coach at all. Because if you think about what he's doing, he's building a team system and culture around the team, and he's just going to build more on top of that apparatus as we go. And they'll learn more and more. Like, we're so at the beginning of the journey. And the accumulated shorthand of knowing your coach and what he's trying to do with your team and the motives and stuff like that, they get built on top of. When you bring in a new coach, you start all over, and you have to build everything on top of that. So the things that he's doing right now, because we're in development mode and we're so young, will be completely different when we're starting to win games more. And we'll see more of the chess match of the coaching strategy in those games where we're competing be more effective, because the players know what they're doing better and they'll execute better and will get better outcomes. So until we get to this point out of the rebuild early stages and we actually have a team that's competing in the playoffs, let's see how he does in the Eastern Conference semifinals or the Eastern Conference first round. And when he gets put into competitive situations where it really matters, like Casey was, that's when we decide whether he is actually a coach that can win for us or not. So let's not get ahead of things. Some people are really going after our coach already, and it's not worth it to rip up your first draft of what you're doing right now just because some people are like not happy or have opinions about him, which aren't actually true and is not reality right now. So that's what I say. Protect your coach like we would protect our front office, because we need to. We really need to. All right, I'm almost 3 minutes, and race mode's come in and said, Lexathon, let's go. He's kind of like that. It's like Edmund's all about race cars and laps and, very long Daytona 500, Indianapolis 500, lots of laps. And, well, he comes in and he tells me, he starts waving the checkered flag and saying, come on in, Lex. It's the end of the race. And that's when the Lexathon statement comes from Race Mode Travels. I love that. I love you, Edmund. I appreciate you, day oneer with my channel here. That's right. Mike saying the Raps losing at the moment is the cause of certain programs getting canceled. People aren't fully invested at the moment. That could be true somewhat, but it could also be a signal of the change in ownership with Rogers being the primary owner of our team also. So that could be a factor in some of it too. But yeah, that could be true. And there was a game where they didn't have any post-game interviews this year already. And that's the weird thing. All right, either way, I want to get out of here. We'll do the wrap-up real quick. Too bad the Raptors lost in a blowout to the Lakers late. They had a good first half. The second half was a tale of two halves. LeBron James is great, and he showed that once again last night. No shame in that. There was an appearance by Bronny James. My 3 stars of the game were Chris Boucher, Jakob Poeltl, and Ochai Agbaji. Our referees for the Raptors 905 at College Park Skyhawks tonight are Charles Watson, Gerda Gatling, and Castine Evans. Let's make sure I got all of my tabs today. There's the beef between Edie and Delano. If you guys have a fantasy team, go ahead and check on it. Interesting week this week. I beat Cool Cat pretty good this week. But yeah, check on your fantasy team and keep up with it. Casey Bannerman's, yeah, I already said that. There's no birthday today, guys, unfortunately. All right, let's get out of here. Thanks for watching today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, or join the channel. Joining the channel can have some privileges for sure. And let's see, Mike's saying the Yahoo stuff and Raps post-game show probably didn't hit the numbers needed to continue with the high budget. No, the Yahoo Canada cut their whole sports department. Yahoo Canada just cut everything. They didn't just cut Chris Boucher. They had a change in what their priorities were, and they were cost cutting, and they just got rid of a whole bunch of extra media that had to do with Yahoo Sports in general. They laid off a bunch of people. It was part of the whole AI revolution where a lot of people were getting laid off all of a sudden the last couple of years because these companies are pivoting towards that kind of content being made that way. So that's what it was. Anyway, I got to get out of here, guys. It's 3 hours right now. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Raptors 905 and beat the College Park Skyhawks tonight. And let's not get it twisted. Keep your eyes on the prize. Have wisdom and understand long-term goals and long-term things, William Liu. I think that's the big message right now for Raptors fans is let's think about the long term and stop reacting so short-sighted and just short-term results. How about that? Let's go!